All right. Um, This is the Dayton Historical Commission meeting on May 13th. It's a Zoom meeting, hybrid meeting at Old Town Hall in Zoom. The Zoom meeting will be recorded and will be shown on Dayton's YouTube channel. The listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. And I'm calling this meeting to order.
6:02.
All right, and let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. John, if you want, you can come right up. Bring your chair up.
Pat, what two items did you want the motion for?
I want the motion
Besides the port farm?
to take out of order the walking tour brochures and
The poor farm.
the poor farm.
Okay, I will make the motion that we take the item agendas, review, discuss, and act, walking tour pamphlet of Dayton's National Historic Districts, and the item 10, historical sharing and poor farm out of order.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll talk about the brochures. These are in black and white. These are still can be changed. So these are black and white copies.
Oh, the one thing that's not on the black and white, I'll have to show you.
And then I
but-
I printed it home.
Oh, you have it.
Color, yeah.
The
So
background.
for the background, so that's what they look like in.
The background, just one of
That's
the,
nice.
the background, just one of the old Dayton maps that I just.
You're right.
These are the homes that you drive by on Pleasant Street. Okay.
No, so if you were to print,
So they would go like this. Yeah, and then they should fold in thirds. Mhm. So,
I did it so when you fold it, the old custom house would be the inside fold. I think I like it before, right? Okay. So you'd want it so you have this like that. And then that like that. So basically, this is the front, this is the back, so back middle, right here.
so which one do you want to talk about first? Yeah,
I guess primarily, I don't, something you and I were talking about before with the Dayton Wharves was that how I found on the very first thing that you emailed me,
yeah,
the list of the wharfs, which actually works because seeing it now in this form, so everything looks scaled down right now. Because on the template that I found like a printing brochure template where it has the bleed lines of like where the press is gonna like cut it, stuff like that. So this won't be like why isn't it bigger? Because like the lines were actually like around here, so it'll be bigger when we get it. But I had a lot of room to play with, literally, because we didn't have a picture of old historic picture of the Darius Perry house. So I can very easily condense the font. The color version is probably better just because you can see more of like it looks like there's more negative space on our version because we don't have the color where we can see like the has it, the 3D of the houses and stuff like that. So it's not like ours, like there's a lot of empty space. There's not as much empty space.
oh, I see what you.
Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I can easily put I was thinking about having just one panel for the wharfs, but because the customs house has the most writing, if I move the customs house picture and that writing to the inside of the brochure, that's gonna be way too crowded.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So, not that we have a lot of information on the wharfs, but like it'd be enough that I could just condense some of
Yeah,
that in
really, the
there.
wharfs really should be included in that.
Because it's the wharfs, I know. So
The wharfs
basically,
district.
Pat and I had like a lot of back and forth of like different documents where she added stuff or edited stuff. The original document that she sent me a while ago had an outline of the wharfs. The other ones didn't because she wasn't adding on to that.
Mhm.
So then today I was like, oh, why do I have this document? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh God, the wharfs. So like, I told Pat before I got here, like, that's the only thing that I would definitely want to add for that one.
Okay.
Pat, do you feel a need, so on the back middle panel, it's the same for both brochures. To take notice that the town administrator put, as this, we put the town seal and the Bay Coast Bank.
Mhm.
Pat, do you feel like I need to, if necessary, credit anyone for the photos, or were they all ones that you were just, like, if you got it from somebody, whether it's a family friend or someone from town, I would want to avoid any like, oh, use my photo, but didn't get a thank you or a shout
Yeah,
out
I
or a
would
credit. I mean, obviously, like if they gave it to us, so clearly they're letting us use it,
Yeah.
but like, I was like, do I include a special thank you in the back? And I was like, no, but then I was like, well, if I'm crediting, like the pictures were all from, some of them were from the bicentennial booklet. I don't need to credit anybody, but did you get any pictures from anybody specifically?
Well, the Historical Society, most of these are from the 1912, that's from the
Correct.
Centennial
It
book.
is, yep.
I'm looking at the Quorum House,
Are you on?
John Hathaway House, I think that's,
It is.
From the
So, yep,
1912.
so the yacht club picture,
that's a
that's a
postcard.
postcard that's public domain. The other two are from, like you said, the brochure.
That's,
The back one, that's one that you sent me later on. I don't know who you got that from.
I
If
think
you,
that's a postcard too.
okay,
That's a postcard.
so then really it's the Spooner House picture and the picture from the water. Those were ones that we were waiting on and
So
you,
those are from the Historical Society, so they
Okay.
should be credited there.
so I can either A, squeeze that in right beneath the picture or,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and,
So, sorry, so which ones? That was the Spooner House in the water view?
yeah, in that one. The Eddie House, that's a postcard.
Okay, correct. Yep, that one was. Yeah,
And
because you
then-
just gave me a better quality version of the one that
Yeah.
was in the bicentennial.
And then this one,
That was also from the bicentennial. I certainly was. Look real quick on my phone, see a better.
I'm not sure that, yeah, it might be. I think we should just,
Let's put it this way, any of the other ones that I included, if you didn't give them to me, I found them online or from documents that I found online. So
Okay.
if you didn't give it to me, then no one else gave them to me, like
okay,
who,
yeah,
unless you feel
but
like I should.
definitely that one was from the Historical Society, the Spooner House, and the boat in the water was
I'm sorry, the Spooner House, the Boat in the Water, and what else?
that one and that
Oh,
one.
just those two, okay.
So one thing here, like, I know we talked, we'll be doing a walking tour eventually. I don't know, but I think also if we print these up and leave them, say at town hall or the library, so people can do a self-walking tour. Where it says, please take notice, just say that these are private properties, please stay off.
Oh, so you
Yeah.
got the like visiting today?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, I forget that it's your, okay. So if anyone is gonna do it on their own, okay,
right.
yep.
Mhm. Okay, does anyone else have anything? You can take them and take a look at them.
The only thing is
Everything has to be
spacing.
Yes, spacing, because everything has to be centered.
Yeah, I think the spacing is because it's a PDF and it's not, in order to send it to me.
So basically, I did it on PowerPoint. And then I just saved that as a PDF
Mhm.
and emailed it to her that way.
Okay, yeah, because the only thing is, if you
Yeah.
actually do that, through it like cuts off.
So I think what I would do is that when we're ready to bring this to whatever printer we'll use,
We have to
either
center
if
this.
you and I can maybe go together to the place and I'll even bring my laptop and say, the last thing I want to do is email it to them and they go, hey, I gave you what you wanted me to do. And we're like,
Right.
crap.
Right.
So if I bring my computer, like I know.
Okay, because
right-
they might be able to center this. the
Right, or
way.
tell me,
yeah.
or tell me how to like format it for them, because there are times I bought stuff to Staples and I have just done it on my own, I'm like, uh-oh. And there are times that like Staples will actually have my computer and they'll be like, no, do this, send it to me that way, that will work.
Yeah,
So when we do that, if we can go together with my laptop, that's so we can avoid any kind of potential,
So we're using Staples as a printer.
oh, no, I was just using an example of like what in the past I printed stuff.
Because we have a town account there.
Yeah.
oh, they're
very
really good.
They're
Yeah.
very good. Mike,
I use them all the time.
So, we can go in and talk to Mike and, he'll tell us what we need to do or not do, you know.
How many are we gonna print out?
Well, that was one of the questions.
found-
We have,
I mean, when we schedule, it, if you have an RSVP, that will determine the number that day, well.
Yeah, we
hopefully.
can also tell them we have X amount of dollars to spend. I think it was 350.
It's
Yeah,
not,
it's $300.
and it's not, the coloring is not, like, see, like, this is like a dark blue font, I can put that in black to
Uh-huh.
reduce the color ink.
So whatever, 300.
So really, the only color would, I guess, technically be these pictures because they were sepia. So that's gonna be like a color that's not gray. The back is like a transparent version of that map. There is some color there. I tried doing it completely in black and white and it just didn't look as good.
No, of course.
So,
I think. it's
and the
green
seal
color.
and then the Bay Coast
Yeah,
Bank
color.
logo.
Yeah,
It's not a ton of colors, so I don't feel like it's gonna cost us it's not a lot of color ink per different colors, you know what I mean? So like, I don't think it'll
and
be
the
super
and
expensive.
color stands out, so when someone's walking by, they're gonna see that,
What's the tentative date of the walk?
We don't have a tentative.
Tentative.
I have no
Are
idea.
you thinking like,
Okay, but
like fall or are you thinking like summer?
that's all I'm looking for.
Probably at this point, fall. Because to do anything in the summer would be,
But you were thinking of putting these out beforehand?
Yeah, my
What's
winter,
the sense in them?
no, I mean after.
Oh, after is wonderful. So
Yeah,
you go on it and you see it and you go, that's, oh, let me take that. That's swell. No, I misunderstood you. I thought you said you wanted to put them out ahead of time.
Oh, no,
That would be the point of them not
Right.
on our walk.
Yeah.
They'll take their own walk.
yes, I would say fall because,
Okay.
that you're not dealing with all of the summer stuff.
Mhm.
It'll be a
people on
little more
vacations
comfortable.
and
Right, it's not gonna be
Super-
95 degrees
Right.
and, yeah. I don't do
incredibly
well
hot.
in that.
Or we have it for a Saturday afternoon and it's thunderstorming because it was so hot during the
Yeah.
day.
Of course, if we have it in the fall, it could still rain. It's rained every weekend so far, so.
That's true. Is there anything else?
All right, how,
I'd like to- Yeah, I'd like to suggest to center our names.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you want to send like,
Yeah, justified center.
Mhm.
Right.
okay, yeah, I see what you mean, instead of, yeah,
so I had it like that. The only thing is because you have vice person and clerk, yours is like way longer than the rest of them. So would you want just
Vice chair.
vice chair?
okay.
So there was when we were going over this before, there was looking at the wharfs one. On the typo that we were talking about last time, sorry, the Quorum Shipyard. OWN in Hathaway. Should it be Brown or is BOWN the name?
I believe it's Bowen, B-O-W-E-N.
The BWEN, because,
I
okay, so
think it
it,
is, yeah.
so in the Word document, it came up as BOWN, so I kept it because I was like, well, maybe that was a name that I was like, ah.
I think you're right, Pat.
The biggest edit I did was, I think, like, the first drafts we had, I had them numbered. Like, like site 1, site 2. I just took away the numbers completely
Yeah.
because
Yeah, you don't need.
even if
those,
we
yeah.
decide that day, like, oh, let's go in this order, it's like, well, I put that was number 1. And, we have the address there, so we don't need them. I got the numbers idea from the Liberty
Yeah.
Union one, but there's 30 sites on that tour. So, that makes more sense for those to be numbered, but
That's BOWEN.
okay.
The only other thing I would I would wonder, because 2120 is coming down. If we
I
could,
know, I thought that too, Pat.
When is the demolition?
Yeah, when's it
Oh,
coming
it's
down?
coming down, yeah?
I know
Yeah.
that, the permits been issued and it's on the agenda for the Conservation Commission for Thursday,
Thursday?
Why?
because it's near the water.
Oh, okay. Oh, so I meant to try to not do it. Like not tear
Yeah.
it down. So I remember like when it came before zoning, like people, like, I don't want to say torn down. And Jim was like, it has to come down even if these people don't do anything with the lot. So it's like, well, we don't have a choice.
Oh, okay.
Because like that was the thing is that people were like, oh, let's try to save it. Why are we gonna tear down this old house? And Jim was like, it's condemned. It's coming down.
No
Even if-
matter
Even
what.
if these people don't do anything with this lot, the building's coming down. So it wasn't like, for that, for the people who will just read the read the overview and be like, oh, zoning said tear down this building and put down a new house. But it was coming down anyway. It wasn't,
Yeah.
Once it was condemned,
Doesn't
that
matter.
also takes it out of the demolition delay bylaw,
Okay.
right.
so.
Are you
And,
going to say anything at all?
I actually talked to one of the owners one day. I was downstairs and I heard it. He came in and I heard him talking, so I was eavesdropping. So I introduced myself.
owners of what, one of the owners of what?
2120.
Oh, okay.
And I asked him, if there was anything, if he could put it aside for us. And he said it's been pretty well stripped, because it was empty for so long and people were just taking stuff.
Could have said that.
It was one of the few cases where all the abutters were actually for it. Because they were like, it's disgusting the way it looks.
Yeah.
It's causing squatter and so like they were like, they didn't want to see it come down historically, but they were like, it's gonna clean up the lot. It's gonna clean up the neighborhood.
So I
And the
did
plans
ask
of the
them
new house look
if,
actually pretty.
when they're designing a house to go in there, that they are consider the location, and that is a National Historic District.
So for the zoning, they brought in,
I think it's a different owner now.
Who is it? No longer the.
but I don't remember who it was before, but they showed us schematics of the drawings. Now, they weren't architectural stamp plans. It was like, this is what our aim is to look like to keep it with the neighborhood. And it looks like it fit, you know what I mean? Yeah, it did.
It's not like
Okay.
4 stories high.
Yeah,
So
No, it
then,
had to be higher because they had to have garages though underneath.
Really?
Garage doors had to go, the garages have to be in the bottom
Oh,
floor
okay.
because of the floods.
Right, right.
Like that was,
It's like the other colonial old homes, the garages.
yeah, that's what I thought too, but they understood that because like everyone was like, but that's not, no, how's it look like that? Like, but we have to now. But they did, but again, the new owner though, I don't know. I haven't seen zoning won't see those plans. So,
I don't know if we should say, 2120, because the street number is not going to change. If it should be, this site was the John,
kind of like the sign that's over here by that's the town hall, then that came down, there's still a sign there for that house.
yeah, we made that sign, the James
So, I
Briggs
mean-
house, yeah.
I'm not saying, I'm not
like
saying.
site of, you know what I mean? Site of 2120.
Original site, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Because the history of the parts of the land is the same. The building's not there, but
Yeah.
it's not like that. Yes, the house is gone, but it's not like the history of that area is gone too.
Right, so if
I
you
know it's not the
just,
same,
I
but
don't know, if you just say the site of the John Hathaway house, former,
I mean, I can look at other wordings of other ones
Yeah,
that come down.
yeah. Because, people, if we're doing a walking tour and then there it is.
The house is missing, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was there. Wait a second.
Oh,
It's really there. It's really there. You just.
No, it's there. It's there.
just imagine it.
Wait, you guys don't see it?
Hi.
You guys don't see it?
It's my Harry Potter one.
Yeah.
All right, that's one thought I had.
Okay.
All right, so, anyone have anything else?
Oh, Darius.
There's absolutely no historic pictures of the, I mean, I've looked
That for Darius Perry?
and I know that was, I mean,
Mary J. Spooner is her After J? Or
Wait, where?
something they didn't use the dots.
Where?
Harry J. Skinner.
Well, I don't see where you're pointing.
Oh, down here, yeah, because,
Oh,
yeah, it should be a period, yep. Rafi, since you'll have to go through it with a fine tooth comb because you're.
so Pat, just, you know, the only editing that I did to your text was if you see the and sign,
Mm-hmm.
we'll just make it all fit evenly.
Oh,
Like
okay.
when I had the word and, like it would like stick on, like add like two more words to one line
Mhm.
and just, or like it wouldn't justify properly. Other than that, there was no editing that I did of any
Okay.
kind.
John, do you have anything that you wanna?
I'm gonna drive by 2120 before it's torn down.
Go tonight, go tonight.
No, this is very nice.
Thank you.
So this is our contribution to the anniversary.
Oh, we were gonna do the old Bristol path, but this is fine.
Because this is done. I thought we
Yeah.
talked about, you already did all the work,
Yeah,
so why not use it as your,
yeah, because we can kind of tie in,
well,
well,
Somerset was looking at a trolley tour.
That's what we're thinking about.
I was
That's
walking,
cool.
walking, you're
Well,
walking. that
well,
tour.
they used to do for the.
Your district's much bigger than ours.
They used to do Walking tours of the village.
mhm,
And we actually, I think, have a pamphlet. We actually.
Oh, yes, I was there, yeah.
Bicentennial, they did a tour, though I had knocked out all the historic sites for the bicentennial. So I was thinking that we'll kind of steal that to some degree and pick out the more important places
Mhm.
to visit. So this is all in the works,
mhm.
or this is in my head. I've got starting to form a committee, so we're way behind on this. We
And the
try it, but
society is doing a reenactment, or the society.
Well, that,
Not
no,
us.
no, the
Oh, us.
250th,
Oh, you
the
are.
250th anniversary committee
Okay.
is planning a living in history encampment, and that'll include a battle reenactment by the Rehoboth Minutemen.
okay,
So that's going to be in the fall of 2026.
okay,
Location is still being determined. Our historical society is probably going to do a house and garden tour. We also have Ezra Stiles.
right,
Um,
okay.
The play,
Gave him
the play too,
Yeah.
the
Hmm?
play.
Oh, the
Kids.
play, yeah, we're gonna have a
Oh,
play.
nice.
So we do have some activities. The reading of the declaration will be on July 4th this year.
Okay,
And we hope to have some people be standing at the graves of the Revolutionary War soldiers in the Unitarian Cemetery,
okay.
just saying like, who they are and a little bio, of them, and
The people portraying them or just like a tour guide kind of
just
thing?
like I am like Elkanah Andrews and I was born in,
Gotcha.
Dressed up in period costume?
No.
Come on, wouldn't that be?
Look, I was
Oh,
you can't have to wear what I'm wearing.
I'm not sure. I think they'll have something on, I'm not in charge of that, so.
Yeah, Christine, right? Christine's in charge of that.
Karen.
Oh, Karen.
So, I'm sure she'll have them in costume.
Yeah, we've been trying to get the historical commission involved in this and
Oh, yeah.
as far as.
Too busy or no interest?
I think there's interest, but I think a lot of our members are older
Mm,
and it's kind of difficult to get much of a commitment from them. And some of them, well, we've got one guy that's working on the cemetery project and he is spending a lot of time doing that. So he gets a pass. But I was hoping the historical commission could work with the historical society to some degree, especially since I'm on it, my wife's on it. Yeah,
What have you guys done before when you guys had those walking tours? Who organized those back then?
that was Diane Goodwin, who has resigned and she's moved on. We always did those with the Spirit of Somerset.
Oh, okay.
And years ago, before I was even involved, the Palmer Cemetery is the historic cemetery. Holland is buried there, Clifford Holland, a number of the sea captains are buried there. And they did a cemetery tour where people were dressed up in period costume. And there's a whole script that we still have. And the person that was the driving force behind that had left, but she's coming back. So
But was she commission or society or
she was with the
Independent?
society.
with the society?
Yeah, and then she left and she's coming back. She's my Mrs. Claus.
Okay.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, so anyway. And what I'm gonna do is, I've got your email, Pam,
Pat,
Pat,
This is mine.
that's yours, okay.
You want mine?
Pat,
Me,
yeah, yeah, that's Pat, okay, yeah. With this, I don't know if anybody has checked out Gaylord Archival,
yeah,
but they have a lot, they just did a whole thing on doing things such as this, and I will send somebody the link if,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you want to send it to Pat and then Pat can send it to me.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. And it's interesting because I had worked up some flyer and they would say that this is an orphan or whatever.
I know, I thought that too, and I was doing.
And I didn't even know that that was an issue.
so they have like,
It's like a little 1-hour seminar about.
yeah,
Like desktop publishing kind of thing?
About, what do they call, graphic design or whatever, and it's very basic.
Yeah, I mean, I have no training in it. I just kind of know how to do it back when I was in school, but I mean, whatever that is, I will definitely.
But I think this looks quite nice, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's good.
Colin looks better. Like, and then,
Mm.
once I put,
Once everything's centered, and I think it's gonna.
Yeah.
look great.
yeah, I'll email Pat once obviously the send.
Who's that color is going to be?
It
yeah.
will be, she said, yeah.
What color?
Her color.
Yeah.
She has the
I
exact,
printed it at home, so it came out color.
so
It's white then. okay.
it's like in the back, so like the background is like the old.
So when I printed it at town hall, they come out black and white.
Pat, now that I'm seeing it in color, do you think I could even make the background a little less transparent to make it, like, do you think it's too, like, the way you have it is the way that it's going to look?
I think it looks good. Yeah.
White? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like, do you
So
think,
what if would you consider an off-white paper?
Like a cream.
Yeah, you
vanilla
could,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Just to make it, this looks too modern, this looks too plain, because it's white.
yeah,
White.
even, that's what I was trying to, that's what I was trying to do with that.
Maybe.
Ivory,
Ivory.
an ivory, oh,
An
yeah.
ivory, yeah.
That's what I was trying to do with that now.
I think that.
Color, it's just hard to convey, but like now I'm seeing it in person, I'm like, it still looks like I just,
Should we also
Yeah.
include the contact info for the commission, just in case you get interested? Contact,
Well,
hmm.
I don't see it.
I mean, on the back, once I take out the line, we will be visiting today, because we don't need that, because that's gonna be for people doing it after. That is gonna free up some space, so if you feel the need to do that. I also, our names and stuff on the back, on the front, I can move that to the back. If you feel like you'd rather have,
Oh, okay.
if you feel like you'd rather have a picture on the back, because I already have historical commission on the top, just not our names.
Yeah.
I think our names, so the board should be on there. It was just on the front. So I was like, well, I don't want to put the town seal on the front because that's
Right.
too, like, if we had our own seal logo, I would have done that.
Right.
But I was like, I don't want the town seal on the front because that could be for anything involved in the town.
Mhm.
So I was like, I don't really have a good picture of like what house would I put there? So that's why I just put that there free to fill some space. So if you feel like I should move our names and everything to the back instead, I can do that. And maybe put pictures from the bird's eye map there instead, Pat, or I don't know. It's up to you.
yeah, I think the names probably should go on the back. I don't know if we could make the town seal a little smaller.
Yeah, oh, definitely,
Make
definitely.
those two icons a little smaller and then, of course, this will be shorter, so our name should be able to fit in.
Mhm.
So really, the quickest way to contact us is probably through our Facebook page
We have
Okay.
our own website through the,
or through our website, yeah, through the
I
town.
prefer that instead of.
But
Yeah.
if someone goes to fill in like that, like I filled out things on like town, like sometimes on a town site, it has a link to the town clerk's email address. Sometimes it's just like a blank email form, you just fill in and you don't know if anyone ever gets it.
Right.
Is ours like, will it actually go to Pat's email or just go to some
We can set it
generic?
to go up to, I don't know where it goes right now.
Do you have a chair email address?
No, I keep asking for one and it's,
Me too, for some. and,
Sounds
yeah,
good for the
sorry,
next
but-
20 years at least.
so we could just put the town, our website
Yeah.
page there and.
Town of Dayton website.
Yeah.
Do you want and the Facebook or just you want the town one?
Just the town.
Just the town,
website.
yeah.
Just
Yeah, how often do you, does someone monitor or update or
who knows?
maintain the Facebook page?
Rafa does the
Oh.
Facebook page
Only when you have something, pretty much?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
and the web
And
page is,
and Leanne can always add something to the Dayton Facebook page as well, like there, because she
Yeah.
does that.
and I think she also does the
She does
web
the-
pages.
She does the webpage as well.
Oh, well, I think I just meant like, I don't want to put, like, check out the Facebook page for the Historical Commission, and then someone goes on, it's like
Nothing.
2019,
Yeah.
2019, cool.
Yeah, maybe not.
That's why I was like, if you want to both, I put both, but if you feel like,
Yeah,
nah.
that's good.
Okay. All right, so,
So Pat, if you want, aside from going together to the printing press, maybe when I work on the edits, if you want to do it together in person so we can look at it together and then go from there, or do you want me to edit them and then bring it back before the board?
I think if we do final edits and does everyone want to see like the final draft, we'll have the final
So
draft.
vote
for
on,
next-
vote on the final draft as opposed to voting on it
Yeah,
now
yeah.
pending, okay.
Yeah. I mean, we can work on the edits and then bring it to the board and it could be simple then. And then we go ahead and print it.
Okay. Maybe by then we'll have a new member to put on.
Yeah, maybe.
That's one thing that like, I had to take someone's name off, like before, like I was like, oh,
Oops.
Maybe if we put on it to
seeking a new member.
like 2025, like a date of publication, just so we know how old it is. So when it turns 100 years old and people are still using it.
Put in the time capsule. So not the date of the walking tour, just the year in general.
Yeah,
Your
just,
Pamphlet was published.
the year it was published,
When was it published?
printed, published, created, first draft.
And it has to be, in
It'll be-
Roman- it has to be in Roman numerals.
Roman numerals that nobody can read.
Nobody can read.
So.
And we just put our names in like Shakespearean script or something.
No,
Exactly.
I'm gonna find like a Donna Summers font and put your name in there.
All right, so I hope you found that helpful,
That-
John.
It's very nice. And I didn't mean to criticize.
No,
Oh,
it's-
no,
I-
no.
Yeah.
We're taking
I'm
in
none taken,
anything
not
so
all
that,
taken.
We're short a member. We might hit you up for that.
Because I just learned that a week ago.
It's helpful having someone who has done these with a much bigger scale. I mean, you have how many sites in Somerset? We have four.
We have a lot.
Yeah, I know.
It's,
I remember seeing your brochures and being like, I've seen Rehoboth and I'm like, damn, these are booklets. They're awesome, but I'm like, I'm just, no, out of jealousy, not out of,
this is also something that people can take and digest.
Mhm.
Right,
And you can do this and say, I'm not like committing a huge amount of time to this. Some of those other ones may be too much information.
right.
It's, if you want it, it's there, but
right.
The way I looked at it, it's enough information. If someone's truly interested, they can go searching for more or ask more questions.
right, and they
Yeah.
can come here and ask or go to the
Right,
Historical Society
right.
to find out more information. This
Right,
will get people interested potentially.
My biggest pet peeve with things like this is like when I go anywhere, it's like, that was a tour. I could have just Googled things as I walked. Like I didn't learn anything new from this tour or from this. So like I always want to like, what if we do something like this, like it's like, oh, I wouldn't have known that if I didn't read this or if I didn't go there. But when someone's like, that's the Mona Lisa, like I didn't need a tour guide to tell me that's where the Mona Lisa is or whatever it is, you know,
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
So
So, okay.
So when are the dates of the walking tour?
I already tried that, Rafa. That was 10 minutes ago. I said,
The fall?
when are we doing it? Remember?
We didn't say anything.
Specifically though,
She didn't answer me.
I mean, probably not,
September what day, weekend?
yes.
I don't know what my
Yes.
July looks like.
So
What does your July look like?
mine looks really bad, okay?
Lots of mosquitoes.
Probably, I don't know. I have to look at my calendar.
So maybe in conjunction with the opening of the library?
Rafa, we're gonna July 3rd, okay? So you go there on July 3rd and wait for us. We'll be there.
We could,
In conjunction with the opening of the library. In September, right? You're opening September?
And it's right in that area. That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah, that whole area right there.
so they.
Is there
they're-
a date for that?
No,
No, I mean, I know it's September, but
Is that the building they're working on down there?
Yes,
Yes.
The red, I
yeah.
think it's red.
Smith Memorial Hall, it's the
Okay, yep.
shingled building,
Okay, and that's going to be,
the new
Library.
oh,
library.
nice.
Yeah, yeah.
So after the tour, we can assemble in the library and have a little tea or.
We
That's a
could
really good
either
idea,
meet at the
actually.
library
Maybe
and
get
walk
that-
down and,
yeah.
yeah,
definitely could do that.
It's a good idea.
nice thinking, Rafa.
Rafa,
Reaching out to the public with food.
Okay, does
Yes.
anyone have anything else for,
I mean, because we're not voting on it tonight, if anyone thinks of anything, they can always email you.
or you, yeah,
Or, yeah, and then,
or you?
or find anything different that, or take home and look at it and realize that something's wrong.
Yeah,
Or typed wrong or worded wrong or something.
right. And then we'll vote on the final draft in June. Okay,
Okey dokey.
okay. So next is our Poor Farm. Yeah,
John's wife happens to be doing research for the Poor Farm for Somerset. When I went to the Berkeley Historical Society today, their Poor Farm is still standing. It's a private residence and the woman inside has done very little to update it. It's on Bayview Ave. So I mean, every town had its Poor Farm.
yeah,
But I mean, ours has, been torn down and whatever, and Berkeley's still got theirs standing and people are living in it? Wow.
When you say little to update it, do you mean it in a good way or bad way?
She said she hasn't done any modernization of the
Oh,
inside of the home.
I thought like it's like decrepit
So
because
how neat would that be to go in there?
So there actually poor people living there.
Well,
Well,
they were,
it's not.
But to see
it's
what
not
it
still-
only 25, but they're not poor
It's not
people.
still a functioning, it's not still a functioning poor farm. I don't think it's allowed to do.
No,
But it would be cool to see what it would
Sure it
actually
would.
look
Yeah.
like.
it would, it
Yes.
looked like
Field trip.
back whenever, yeah, Bayview Ave. Okay, so anyway, that's the tie-in for Poor Farm, so.
so where's Somerset's Poor
it
Farm?
is, or it was where the middle school and South School is.
Oh,
It's
okay.
on Reed Street.
Read.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right, yeah, yeah.
And there's also a cemetery somewhere in there that we haven't really been able to locate. Town historian Mary Ann McDonald thinks she knows where it is, but we don't know for certain where it is. And obviously, the buildings haven't been built on them, so.
Right.
When you said about the cemetery, the lady who lives at the Poor Farm in Bayview, you just reminded me of something. Her and her husband were cleaning up the yard and they were digging around things, making it look attractive near the water. And they came across human bones and they said, oh, let's put this back. So there's no headstones, there's no anything, and Lord knows how old they were. But her and the husband, I don't know if they had heavy equipment or they're doing it by hand, but they came across
That's
some
my,
remains.
that's my fear.
Well,
That's not-
don't
I
go
think-
there.
That's not a fear. I think that's
Where
fascinating.
where
It's
I,
fascinating.
Human
where I'm moving,
remains.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
How do we know it wasn't from 2 weeks ago?
Interesting.
But that's down the Sonnet Neck off Bayview.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because a lot of
Okay.
these places
All right.
are not, yeah.
The information I'm going to talk to you today about came from Helen Lane's History of Dayton. So that's the credit. I mean, I'm not making this stuff up. She's the one who said it in her green book. The earliest town record of assisting the poor in Dayton was in August of 1719. Let's remember the town was only established in 1712. So 7 years later, we're already at.
We're already bankrupt.
Town monies were spent for a coffin and burial for a Mr. Henry Moore. Mr. Moore had no money and could not afford his own burial. Mrs. Dorothy Paul, wife of John Paul, I asked Pat to find out where do the Pauls live in Dayton, but we think they were on a Sonnet Neck in Berkeley because we don't think they were in the Dayton that we know. But anyway,
Back when that was
I just
Dayton.
wanted to give you an idea of
But
where
back
it
when that
was.
was-
Exactly.
Okay.
So Mrs. Dorothy Paul, wife of John Paul, allowed her slave to dig the grave. Yes, slavery was alive and well in 1719 in Dayton. The town compensated her. Colonists had their hands full caring for their own families and couldn't afford the financial burden of additional poor. In the 1790s and early 1800s, auctions were held where individuals or entire families were handed over to whoever would feed and clothe them for the least amount. The selectmen sometimes indentured young children to families who would feed, clothe, and educate them in exchange for what work they could do for the person who,
Regardless of race.
we're talking mostly white people here.
So like, but it wasn't, well, so it's not slavery.
We're talking mostly white people. here.
Wow.
But there was slavery.
Okay,
It
oh.
mentioned that he was a Negro. So I just wanted to throw that in because I thought that was interesting.
Wow, geez.
I think all this is interesting.
Were just farmers or families.
poor
that were
people.
Poor people.
That's,
And the majority of the population was white.
That's true,
yep,
right.
exactly. Some years, one man would bid on all of the poor in the town. By 1819, the idea of a house to house the poor was discussed at a town committee. That was in 1819. In 1920, James Cornell, a gentleman who lived in town, took in all the poor for $400. Translated in today's value, that would have been $10,860.55. So that's what he was paid to take in all the poor. In 1826, the poor were sold in 3 different lots, $193 for a lot of 7 people. Then there was another lot of 7 people that got $200. Must have been stronger, bigger workers.
Yeah,
And then there was 5 people and that lot got $172. In 1830, the town voted to appropriate $2,000 in 1830. Come on, that's a lot of money. Toward a suitable house for these poor. They were thinking, no, we really got to do something here. So 4 farms were considered. Now, if you have read Helen Lane's writings, they don't really follow along. And so
Yeah.
4 farms were considered. Don't think I'm going to tell you what they were because she never told us. So one of them was the Gooding Farm, which of course was part of Bristol Aggie. That was a consideration for a spot. And they ended up using a farm from George Ware, W-A-R-E. And that farm was located on Main Street, across the street from 1136 Main, which is where I grew up. So the poor were only housed there for 1 year.
So it was in the field across that street?
When I was a kid, there was a stone foundation and we used to go exploring, as all kids go exploring. And my mother and father never knew what the family name that was there. It was George Ware, but the
Wow.
town poor farm was located there for only 1 year, okay? Then the town purchased the farm on Smith Street, which is where we've been talking about since, from Pegleg Francis of Taunton. There were 73 acres in this parcel. Parcel and buildings were purchased for $2,300. Now, I just told you, they were only allotted $2,000. So what do? So the town paid half 1 year and half the following year with the stipulation that no interest was to be paid on the balance. Come on, this is good. So by 1832, the house needed repairs. Didn't do anything, but in 1835, a wooden addition was added to the north side of this original house. In 1852, the town spent $1,600 to build a new house on the same property, which is, I believe, the house, if you ever get to go there. So it's not the original one, but it is on the same tract of land. So that was the later poorhouse. The first town report, you know, the old town reports,
Yeah.
okay? The first town report was printed in 1854. Then there were none until 1858. That's important.
Oh, wow.
I don't have any from the 1800s. You know the oldest you have?
Probably 1890.
You've got some 1800s.
Yeah.
Anyway, those things,
Walt might have some, right?
those things are lovely because they tell you so much. So this is my private collection. So this is, I have 19, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I just brought those.
Before the Titanic
Um,
sank. Like, that's crazy.
Expenses. Expenses for the home were for grass, pasture, grain, groceries, a bull, 2 steers, herring, beef, blacksmithing, shoes, and medical. 1 year, the total of all the expenses to run the Poor Farm was $303. This Poor Farm sold produce and oxen to make money. This is the original journal. Sad that I have this, but hey, it's the original journal from the Poor Farm. The cover is missing, but you'll see that page 1 is there, so I'm not missing any pages. And on the side, it just says journal. And if you open it up, it's from 1900, 1901, 1902, and 1903. And of course, the Poor Farm closed later. So they would tell you how many dozens of eggs they sold.
Coffee.
Over here, is it 38 and a half dozen eggs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At 20,
28 cents.
that's how much a dozen eggs went for. That's
Yeah.
20 cents back then. I mean, it's the neatest book. And if you just keep reading, it talks about who the guy was who came to check their records to make sure everything was on the up and up. What am I doing with this? You might ask.
Why do you?
I'm asking my son.
Why do you have
My
it?
son said, we have that. I said, yeah, and he handed it to me. I said, where'd we get it from? And I will not repeat where he told me we got it from. But what am I doing with that? You know, I mean, really. So in 1875, Dayton had a new problem. Tramps.
Oh, my God, really?
Yes. Vagabonds.
You have a red light district?
No, no, not that kind of tramp. Your mind's in the gutter.
Homeless.
140 of
Gotcha.
them.
Why not?
I legit, that's what, I wasn't even being facetious. That's what I literally thought you meant.
Yeah, I know
Gotcha.
you did.
That would make sense though, historically
140
speaking, that would be.
Were
Raton.
lodged at the farm in the course of the year. I'm not saying 140 all the same day because the house can't hold 140 people. So in 75, 140 tramps were there. In 1878, 301 tramps were recorded at various times of the year being in the house. Now, what attracted them here? Strawberry time, because we got all these strawberries that need to be picked. And it's only for a very short window, so you need a lot of labor,
It's
because Dayton
cheap
was
labor.
the strawberry, king of the world, I guess, at that point. So the tramps were, they made whatever money they made for a very short window, and that's why they came through Dayton. But Dayton doesn't want the tramps to stay here, because then someone needs to pay for them, and they become an expense. So,
How contemporary.
Kind of,
Is it
kind
not?
of,
It
it
is.
kind of is.
Very, very Martha's
It's indentured
Vineyard.
servitude, pretty much.
so in 1909, and again, this goes up to 1903, so it was sort of near the end of the Poor Farm. The farm and house were sold, keeping a 4-acre gravel hill with a right of way to Smith Street. So if you go on Smith Street and it's I think it's still dirt to go down there. Yeah, so that belonged to the town, so it wasn't part of the sale. By 1926, support for the poor came under the category of charity, and in 26, the town appropriated $8,000, for charity cases like this. Now, there's some law in 1910 that prohibits the publishing of the people's names who are in the poorhouse.
Oh, okay.
But, and I was talking to the Berkeley Historical Society today, they didn't seem to have a problem with that. And in one of the books that I was looking at, they talked about the Poor Farm and medical expenses. And there was a Mr. McKenna who received, that's Patty's maiden name, for those of you that don't know that. So there was I'll give you his first name if you want to, if you want to look him up.
It's like,
So they talked
That's
about
weird.
the
does your family
people,
go that far back here?
No, not here, no.
You sure?
even if they did, she ain't gonna tell you that.
And now she's not. I have no Dayton ties.
But if you get your hands on an old town report, this one is 1913. And right in the beginning of the book, they always talk about report of the overseers of the poor, because, we needed to discuss that. Settlements and aid, and if it's not this one, it's the other one that talked about which name person received how much medication. Mr. McKenna didn't receive a
So
lot
that's the
of.
part, so that's the part that they published for that reason.
I know, but they shouldn't have said McKenna because it was after 1910.
So
And
they-
it's nobody's business that
People can figure out like,
he was receiving money from the poor.
right,
That's
right,
awful.
HIPAA, yeah.
I mean, come on, that is just awful. So I know there was a law in 1910 that prohibited that. Where's Mr. McKenna?
Did they ever
Funny. Yeah, I thought we were the
officially
first ones.
outlaw, did they officially outlaw pork farms in general? Or did they just kind of stop being a thing?
They went their way like,
Yeah.
yeah. But look at the condition of this from 1912.
That's
Horrifying.
There is a book?
I'll ask my wife, she.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
And she can give me the title on
Yeah,
Saturday.
yeah, and they have like photos of,
Some towns do if someone digitized them.
Or just microfiche.
For 1912, they talk about, they paid the city of Fall River for board. So Fall River must have taken some of our poor.
Yeah, they
you know,
paid Taunton.
I know
Yep,
that
yep.
Mary Beth said Somerset, there were a lot of people that they paid Taunton.
Yeah,
Okay.
Taunton took a lot.
Yeah.
But you, and it lists how much they paid them and how many people it involved.
What made it legal? Because I mean, you're buying people to do work for you.
No, you're not buying people.
hiring
You're
them.
providing
Yeah,
them
so
with a
you're-
place to
You're
live.
hiring them.
So, and they
It
in
was like
turn
a
do work
barter.
for you.
It was bartering.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Not slaves.
Indentures are,
Yeah, and then,
So it literally wasn't indentured servitude.
yeah.
We'll give them like. work
So it's like,
experience as well.
right, okay.
Yeah.
So we're not giving you money, but we're giving you roof and food, so.
Yeah.
Was it temporary? Like when they would go there, was there ever a stipulation of like, you're here for 3
Seasonal
months? Or
jobs.
was it like, you're here until you can't be, until you're
You
good?
were there until you found another alternative,
Which could be however long
which
it's,
could be move away and go somewhere else. Maybe you had a relative in another part of
Or
the
a
country
relative or
whatever.
yeah.
But
do you know what the longest time like one person or one family spent there?
I don't.
So I would think most of these trams are men, I would assume.
But then there was the kids that they,
The kids.
the tramps. They came from West Dayton, by the way. What were they doing in West Dayton? You know? Coming from Rehoboth, it's those Rehoboth people.
of course it
We
is.
always have them to
That
blame.
makes sense.
But they came that way. And so of course, the house on Smith Street was right along their
I
path.
wonder if they were coming from like Providence, the bigger city,
Could be.
and traveling this way for work and.
Well, we
stuff.
had the strawberries. What did other
Yeah.
people have? Like, was there fishing things or herring?
What would seek-
Maybe when that herring run, you need a lot of manpower for that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
East Providence didn't exist yet. That was part of
No,
Rehoboth. There wasn't,
you're
there was no suburbs
Right.
yet.
Well,
Really?
construction of the houses, somebody has to build houses, so I would think.
But they weren't going up like they are
Some
now.
of the
No.
But they- that
problems
wasn't
are the
like, oh.
same,
Yeah.
then it's
Yeah.
not much
It's true.
changes.
your shipbuilders were probably building a lot of the houses.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is, if you get a hold of an old town office, town report,
So there
that'd be
is,
wonderful.
they are, I have.
love looking at them whenever I have them.
There are a lot of copies of some of those older ones, if anyone's interested.
1880s.
Jeff, the society has extras because for some reason they printed in the early 1900s, they printed tons and tons of them.
Yeah.
And people saved them.
Yeah.
And people have been donating them to the society. Like, it's an important thing they have. I have this collection.
Yeah.
And they think it's
Yeah.
swell, but you don't need 5, 6, 10 people bringing
No.
you their collection of
But you
town
go
reports.
take it and you go through it to make sure that you have all of.
Right, right.
of the, reports in case you're missing any.
Something, yeah.
The
Yeah.
Mass State Archives also has them. I know that, I think the farthest we go back, I think is maybe 1880s. And I want to get up there because they go back, I think, to 1858 for Somerset at the
Uh-huh.
archive. I'd like to see what was happening during this.
The actual hard copy one? Is it,
I think it's hard
I know
copy.
some have them digital.
I don't think it's
Some don't.
digitized, yeah,
Mm.
so.
Mm.
So probably, I would assume if you went in the Mass Archives and looked for Dayton, you could see how far back they went.
I know sometimes in the past, Dayton wasn't very good at sending their information to the state because they're missing, you know how when you're doing genealogy, they
Yep.
have those tan books? Well, Dayton
Yep.
doesn't have a tan book
Okay,
because they didn't send the information to the state and the state made those. So there's other towns and cities that also are missing from that
Okay.
series because the state just didn't get it. So,
Well, how about when they buy land, the poor guy has to wait a year to get the other half of his money?
I know.
You read these things and you go, come on.
I'd be like, no. I'm not-
Yeah, really? Or do I get some interest on that?
Yeah,
No.
no.
So they only had $2,000. They couldn't give him $2,300.
So I guess it's that or nothing. So it's like, would you rather not? It's like,
Well-
no, I guess not. So
Awesome.
So that's
That's
that.
interesting.
I love this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty
But
cool.
slavery here in Dayton,
Yeah.
I didn't
Never
think,
heard.
I didn't think that we had anybody.
They were emancipated during the Revolutionary War, weren't they? I forget the date, but that's when.
well, it wasn't
Dayton-
1719, and 1719 is when the
Right.
guy was digging the grave.
Yeah, but Dayton did something, I'm not sure of the date, early on to free their slaves. and
Before
I-
Civil War?
Yes, it was before the Civil War.
I think that it was outlawed. I think it was 1785. I think, could be wrong.
I have to,
I know that
yeah,
at the Quaker Meeting House, Swansea Friends Meeting House, and I'll keep it brief. Patience Brayton was an early abolitionist, and she got all the Quakers that went to the Swansea Friends Meeting House to free their slaves. Including her husband. And she also toured all 13 colonies, speaking against slavery, including Georgia.
Okay, what do you mean including her husband? Was he black?
No, her husband, her
I'm
husband,
sorry, that's what
That's what I thought you meant too. I was like, so did she free her husband? I was like, wait,
her
wow.
husband.
I was like,
like,
talk about, I did not.
Oh, that's not what I
I
heard.
thought you meant like she freed her husband. I'm like, wow, interracial. Wow, that's did not think that was.
Yeah, her husband owned slaves and she
Gotcha.
shamed him and the rest of the people into freeing them. And then,
That's braver.
Well, that's-
That's braver, honestly, than.
and then she went to try to convince King George in England.
She went.
She went to England, she crossed
Shit.
the ocean and she couldn't get an audience with him. And on a number, at least one of her tours, while she was gone, one of her children died.
wow.
Now, why is there nothing named after her? But yet we have,
Well,
Pardon?
Brayton Road,
Brayton.
oh, Brayton Road, Brayton Point.
Brayton Point Light.
Brayton Point, is it the same? Oh, okay.
And I'd have to talk
That's
to
good then.
Mary Ann McDonald because everybody thought she was from Somerset. She's either from Rehoboth or Dayton. That's where she lived. She practiced her religion at the Swansea.
Sounds like a
Friends.
real
What was her
person to
maiden
me.
name?
She was born in Rhode Island, Green, Patience Green.
Hmm.
GRENE.
Oh, her main.
I'm pretty sure you're testing my memory here.
Interesting.
I know some Greens are from Rehoboth.
But if you go on to archive.org and type in Patience Brayton,
Mhm.
they had
I've heard that name.
they had
I had
Patience, I've heard the
Like a-
patient's name, but like,
remembrance of her that's like a number of pages talks about her tour and this and
That's
that.
great.
So,
Awesome.
is she buried in Somerset?
she's buried at the meeting house. We don't know where.
Oh, don't dig too much then, huh?
Literally.
Well, because the early
Oh,
Quakers didn't
center.
believe in headstones.
Oh,
And then they later came on board with that. But,
yeah, because you kind of lose them.
yeah,
Awesome.
okay.
All right,
Well,
so
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for coming.
And
Yeah.
I will contact Pat.
Okay.
Do I have your email address? It's not on there. It's your phone number.
Definitely send Pat the link to that.
And
the
yeah, I'll send
Yeah.
to that. And if she wants to forward my email
I
address.
borrowed
to
a pen that
anybody,
works.
Yes, of course.
That's fine.
Mine's just name only. Pen doesn't really write.
Okay.
Do you have electronic versions
Oh,
of the
look at
walking tour brochures that you guys have done?
No, we do not. I wish we did.
I am going to the Berkeley Historical Society again next Tuesday at 10.
Okay.
They open at 10 because they have some antique quilts that she wants me to look at. I'm so.
Oh,
I or just-
nice.
You know I'm into
Yeah,
antique quilts.
yeah.
If you ever find yours,
We will.
thank you.
Well, it's not that antique. It was done for the bicentennial, right?
Oh, well, no, we're talking older than
Oh,
that.
older than that, yeah.
So I'm
Okay.
excited to go see that. So I will be there. If you want to see anything on shipbuilding, then,
I can't be there because I'm
Okay,
working
okay.
and there's a board meeting that night, so
I might come over and see what their book is in comparison to it. Yeah.
Great.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Very
Thank you, John.
informative. And I don't think Mary Beth has all that early stuff, so I'm gonna have to tell her about that, that,
I'll stop in and see her.
yeah, okay.
All right,
Sounds
thank
good.
you.
All right,
Well,
have a great night.
So Pat, we were talking about people in Dayton
Yes,
owning slaves or
yes,
at the risk of sounding,
go ahead.
were there less expensive slaves? Like ones that weren't as able-bodied or weren't as that were cheaper?
Oh, you mean when they sold them like in lots of people? You mean
So like
that?
we're thinking about like back then, we were surprised that like anyone in Dayton was wealthy enough to afford a slave.
Oh, no, those people were. If you talk about
they were free.
Elkanah Andrews and,
But what slave auctions, I mean,
no, so the auctions that she was talking about are just, they were,
People in town to get them off the books for the town to support them. They wanted somebody to volunteer to say, I'll take so many of them for so much money.
no, not that, but you were saying you were surprised people in Dayton, like someone in Dayton had a slave allowing to dig a grave.
I'm telling you that slavery was alive and well in 1719 in Dayton. That doesn't surprise you? Okay, it surprised me.
It's, no, that's what I'm saying. It surprised me that anyone back then in Dayton was wealthy enough to
oh,
afford. a
oh,
slave.
no. Elkanah Andrews was one of the most wealthiest men. When he died, he owned like 6 houses. He owned land. Yeah.
Yeah, but
He had
that's when he was a
land,
president.
but
I'm
he
talking
brought-
about like.
Oh, yeah. So
He brought
down
his
south.
slaves back from South America because they're going down to South America trading for molasses and sugar and stuff, and they're coming back here with it. So he's in South America, and Elkanah Andrews actually brought 3 South American blacks back with him as his slaves. He did free them. One actually served in the Revolutionary War.
Wasn't there a gentleman named Caesar?
Yes.
Yes, that's one of the slaves' names. that
And the
lived in
other one
Dayton.
was, yeah, so, who is it? The Talbots, I think, not Talbots,
Whitmarsh.
but they had slaves and the slaves would go and they would serve, when the slaves were serving in the Revolutionary War, they had to go for 3 years because they went instead of their masters.
So
And
they
then
took they took their term pretty much.
they got their term and then they ended up with their freedom after.
If they lived.
Oh,
If
right,
they lived.
right.
But Dayton
Right.
did have like an Emancipation Act around 1780, somewhere in
Wow.
there.
Hmm.
That slavery was not allowed in town anymore.
I did not know that towns did that.
Yeah,
I just assumed that
slavery was
they wait until
up
the
here,
war.
was here.
Now, wasn't the burial ground on Elm Street for the paupers at one time?
They could- yeah,
That's where
yeah.
people who didn't have money, you got buried. You know where the kids slide down the hill?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, go up there.
yeah, cemetery, yeah. I remember seeing it as little, yeah.
Yeah, so, all right,
Wow.
now, to resume our regular order.
I think it's nice when other towns
I was
and you collaborate.
just thinking that.
So he was talking about what they're doing, for the anniversary, and that's why I was just trying to get a date out of you, just to give an idea, this is what we're planning for around this time,
Mm.
and the Historical
I can
Society
bring.
and their
Yeah.
reenactment and other things, that's all.
I'm surprised they didn't have more, considering Somerset's, a bigger town.
Again,
I'm
depending
surprised.
on who's on
On
the
who,
committee
right, on who.
and how.
And how much they.
It's not about
care.
resources.
Still works full-time, plus he's the director of the Historical Society, and you're dependent upon volunteers,
Mhm.
and some of them are good and some of them aren't, so.
I can bring the calendar, the tentative calendar that we have on Saturday, because Mary Beth will be at
Oh, excellent,
genealogy,
excellent.
so I'll do that. The minutes of March 11th. Does anyone have any changes? I don't either.
Ooh.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as, for March 11th as submitted.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, our budget. So our budget remains the same as of April 30th, $1,141.13. We still have the $80 encumbered for the historical marker sign, but that only stays until June 30th, and then it goes back into the free cash. July 2nd is the last date for any invoices for this fiscal year, and encumbrances will be due by July 10th, which we may have to do for the GIS mapping for West Dayton. They are working on it. I talked to Luke from the CAI Technologies the other day, so he started the project. He has all the data from Stacy. So hopefully, maybe, it might even be done before the end of the fiscal year. That would be nice.
What if it's not?
Then we just encumber the money. Now I did have. I don't know what I did. So we do have. So that will take up like $550. I had a little sticky with all of my notes on it, but heaven knows what I did with it.
The GIS is 550.
Yeah. They said 350 to 550.
That's not terrible.
No, it's not terrible.
Yeah, it's not as much as, Mount Hope. It's not as much.
What color was your sticky?
It was pink.
That?
No, that's another one.
Oh,
So I was looking at our expenditures and stuff. That would bring us down to about 500. We do have some printing that we will need to do for the West Dayton surveys. So, and then I was thinking, man, we should order some office supplies kinds of things. So our FY '26 budget, we met on March 13th. That seems like so long ago because we didn't meet in April with the Board of Selectmen and the FinCom. And we presented our budget for 1,100. And I saw the warrant in the minutes from the last, I think it was the last selectmen's meeting, and it's for $1,000. Will be at the town meeting. So we tried hard, but they still cut us.
I mean, they could have cut a lot.
1,000.
They could have cut a lot more.
I added, so they got mine.
What?
Oh, you added money?
I made sure
You went
that,
over what you wanted,
Yeah.
so you would.
because I knew. what I-
Negotiation.
we did that one year.
We did.
remember? Yeah, we did that. It's a game.
Yeah,
game.
I think I did it for someone a couple years ago.
You just gotta play it.
It's a business, I mean.
All right. Preserving memories of Dayton.
Yes, thank you. Fact.
So we tried again with another candidate to be. How'd that go?
Camden was, I mean,
That was probably
Was
the,
it supposed to be first?
no, Myrna was technically first.
yeah, well, we talked, yeah.
No, I know, but I'm just,
We talked about Cam and scheduling with him. He's now working,
his mom's like looking a job that's like,
yeah, in school and everything. So scheduling with him has become a little more difficult. But we'll work on
unless with
that.
the summer, maybe
Yeah,
he'll have a more set work schedule. Cause I know that that's the thing with his mom was like, well, it's the
Right.
thing, like it'd be so week to week. So even if you tell me 3 weeks, it's like, I guess we're scheduled 2 weeks out and it's so.
oh, I found my purple stickies.
Is this Mother Carolyn Ventura?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she's a horse rider.
yeah, yeah. So
Oh.
we asked another candidate, John Jagat, and he came back with this whole series of questions before he would sign it. So that's when I made from his questions that he had the frequently asked questions sheet to go with it. I talked to Ralph, the town administrator. He says, why don't you try, answering the questions in this manner and just attach it to your permission slip. So,
What kind of questions did he ask? May I ask? I don't have them.
Yeah.
Don't tell me all of them, just what kind of
You
questions?
feel like it was like along the lines of what Myrna asked?
some of them were. So this is this permission slip, and then the second sheet is the frequently asked questions.
Nothing changed with the permission slip, right? It's just the adding of the,
Right,
okay.
right.
Oh.
Extra.
So I'll give you a minute to take a look at it.
It's fine, but when you
I
send,
should post this on our Facebook page.
but
Should I post
hold
this on our
off.
Facebook page, this form?
No,
You can look at it. if you're interested.
I would
Maybe
say,
we should advertise it and they could contact us if
and
they're.
then we would send it to
Then
them.
we'd send that, yeah.
If you just post that blindly,
Number 2 and number 8. If you were asking me these questions, I would never ask those 2 questions. Can my family have a copy? And then number 8, same thing. Will my family have unrestricted access?
like, no, they can't look at it.
What are you asking that for? What's the, I don't get it.
So-
I'm sorry, I'm missing it.
No, when Pat told me this, I was like, if we were a dirt digging type of tabloid or a deep throat kind of like, we're not gonna mention our sources, political
Yeah,
group, I can totally get the protectiveness about like guarding their identities or like ownership, but like, I'm talking about like, tell me what it was like to live in Dayton. It's like, who owns my words? It's like,
Yeah, we don't want any, we're not looking for scandal or.
I know,
smut.
exactly. That's the thing.
We're
And like,
looking for your memories.
We're not gonna make money out of this.
so the only thing that like, the reason why that was even a question was, like I had mentioned, I don't know who published it, like what group, but the so it's called Fall River Voices. And it's an oral history in book, hardcover book that, and you can get a PDF, I mean, ebook too, that they sold for money. I could understand that if we were looking to do that, it's like, okay, well, if I'm giving you my story, like we're buying it from you because we're gonna publish it and make money. And no, you don't get 10 cents for every book that we
Right.
sell. If we were doing that, I could understand the
right.
questions and the copyright and the ownership, because like, if copyright is like, yeah, we're buying it from you, but we're not doing that. So that's why I was getting more and more frustrated. It's kind of like, I don't understand what the,
Issue is.
right.
So is there a connection between the 2 potential candidates?
No, not really, no.
Okay, all right.
But it is interesting that like both of them raised similar questions.
So by answering these frequently asked questions,
Yeah,
can
then
we
what?
go back to Myrna? Can we go back
Yeah,
to
yeah.
what's this?
We certainly can, whether that will change their
I would-
answers.
Yeah.
Once they sign a permission form, like number 10, if I change my mind in the future, is there a way to request removal of restricted access? Not after you sign the form.
Well, you
You
can,
give up your right after you sign
Yeah,
the form.
But you,
you can say yes. Put it in
You
writing.
cannot make no, either yes or no.
you can say yes, but yeah, you really
I mean,
can't.
I understand, like, I think Mike was the one who really, like, the first really heavy legally worded permission slip that really started all this was more, there's wording in there that Mike added for whatever reason that he felt necessary. And I think that's what turned off some people.
Right.
Now, because he was like, we have to assume the worst. We have to assume that Mrs. Smith is going to mention that, oh yeah, like my kids own that house. And you'll have a sibling in California who goes, wait a second, what? I didn't know we own that property. Where's my stake in that? And the next thing you know, it's coming back to bite her in the butt. That's what he was like kind of saying, like, we have to assume something like that's going to happen. Because you gotta, like, not run your slowest runner, but like assume the worst. And I was like, okay, but I just want to talk to her about what it was like to work at the general store.
So what's your next step? What's your plan?
So I think we'll try again
That's right, with somebody else.
with somebody else, or I'll go back to the second, to John and say, here are the answers to your questions, like,
Based on John's email, I don't think he seemed as turned off. I think he was more genuinely like,
Questioning.
right.
yeah, yeah.
Not saying that Myrna's questions weren't genuine, but I think he was more like interested by his questions as opposed to defensive about the questions or however word you want to use.
I think, by asking for the permission slip, saying that you're releasing the information, it's just that interview. It has nothing, that doesn't mean that person can't go out and talk about that content of it anymore,
Right.
We don't own that. It's just that particular interview. If there's something that comes up and like, we're saying that, because
That's like number 6 was the one I was thinking about. could my words
Yes.
used in exhibits, books, or material that it's like,
You're given permission for it to be shared because it right in the 1 to the 3rd bullet.
like,
on
if you
the-
didn't want to share, you wouldn't be doing it.
It says it will be, yeah, but we are also saying it will be distributed to the public for educational and, entertainment purposes. So,
But I guess my question for 6, the word book is what throws me. Not me, but if I was like, okay, so that's saying if you were going to publish this, like, let's say 5 years from now, we should compile a hard copy of all these stories that we told and make a book. Could someone say, wait a second, I was fine with you like putting it on like the town website. I don't necessarily know if I want my thing in a book.
Okay.
That's what my
It's
thing.
your thing, right?
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you planning on putting first name, last name? Maybe,
Oh, yeah.
maybe the answer is Pat G said this.
Yeah.
Now, you know who Pat G is,
Mhm.
but you people don't, because, so maybe you don't put their full name.
Hmm.
Then
We
can
certainly-
they object to, those are my words and,
That's a good question. I think that would even be more of a town council question in terms of
Yeah,
like,
but
where
I-
do you go from like remaining anonymous? You can't
Yeah,
then
because-
say that's me. It's like, no,
But I
you
think-
didn't want to say it was you. You
I
can't now
think
say
if
it was
we-
you.
if we.
But I don't
just-
know.
If we just keep it to the point that we're just doing oral histories right now, and that we're going to keep them and digitize, and we're going to store them here, they're that particular interview becomes the property of the town. And that's it, nothing else, and yes, you can have a copy of it. Yes, you can,
Like-
it's available for the public. We're not going to be writing a book,
No.
If it came to that, in all good conscience, I would say you would go back to your interview people and ask to source them. If you're going to be really truly doing that kind of a project.
Which, I mean, and I think like the thing is like, let's say I interview my neighbor and they want to give me pictures of them in front of the school before it burnt down. And they say, oh, when you put my article on the town website, feel free to put my picture there. I'm not going to say I own that picture now. I will say like photo provided by so-and-so. It's not like us saying it's mine. It's more just saying like, it's almost like, and if you don't want to share it, why are you doing this? So that's why I'm surprised by
I'm surprised at how many questions.
I'm surprised. It's like,
why?
if you want to share these things, wouldn't you be like, go ahead, tell everybody, that's why I'm doing this. I wouldn't be like, oh,
I would
Here's
be
my-
excited to tell my story.
that's what I'm.
Because it's your memory and you're telling somebody.
But people are almost
And
like.
their memory will last forever.
Now, because he's gonna digitize it or whatever.
Yeah, but
Isn't
how
that
amazing
nice?
is that? How amazing is that to
Yep.
tell your story?
Yep.
And truly be excited about your story and knowing it's going to last forever. That's amazing.
That's what the goal
I
was,
don't
but I
get
feel like
it.
I feel like people are acting like we're like, hey, tell me your family's
We're not
deepest, darkest
making money
secrets, and we're
off
gonna
of
put it
it. We're not
online. I
making
feel like that's the
Yes,
attitude.
it's a Relationship between 1 and 2.
Understandable,
And if you don't think
understandable.
there is, then yeah, I'd go with a.
I mean, that's-
third. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking Jeff Alley. You think Jeff Alley's gonna ask you these questions?
But here's
Never in hell.
the things, though, when you first mentioned John, you had mentioned it in passing to him, and he seemed like, oh, absolutely, and almost like, I got the impression that he was ready to go tomorrow, and then all of a sudden you were like, well, now he has these questions. Like, you almost didn't expect
No.
that he
no.
would have any kind of questions.
But I think we answer the questions, then the questions come up and, people start having, show them this and people start having questions. We can say, well, here, this will answer your questions. And just go from, we're prepared to answer the questions now. Because now we know what the questions are going to be.
Right, I mean, let's say worst comes to worst, if someone is really, I can say like, let's say I'll give the question ahead of time. And if one of the questions was, tell me about your family's history in that house. And if someone goes, you know what, I have really checkered history with my family and the ownership, please, let's not go into that, then I won't ask them that. I'm
Right.
not gonna be like Howard Stern and be like, remember that time, like, and have them be like caught off guard. I won't just tell me about you going to school. I won't mention your house.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
if that's gonna be something you don't
Yeah,
want me to
because
talk about, I won't talk about it.
Before you start your interview, you're going to get, talk to the person about the kinds of things that you're talking about. what, what do you read?
Which is what I was doing with Myrna that
Yeah.
time I met with her. I was like, this is what I plan on talking about with you. And she even
Right.
went into some detail and she even said several times, well, I'll wait until we're doing it. What,
Yeah,
not the here nor there now, but like, that was a pre-interview.
Yeah,
So
so-
I know that sounds really scary, but that's essentially
but
what it was.
but that's what you want to do because that gives that person that you're interviewing a parameter of what you're going to be talking about and what the content is going to be.
Do you feel like, and I feel like we should somewhere on here, put sample questions of what you're going to be asked. I feel like if someone goes, oh, you want to know where I went to school and what I did for a job, whatever, that's fine.
I think,
I-
I think that depends on who you're interviewing.
Yeah, because it-
Right, because talking about Myrna, none of that was going to be talked about. It was gonna be more about her as a selectman and stuff like that, not so much her family, but some will be nothing to do with town politics because they weren't in it. All they did was own a farm, or not all they did, but that's what their contribution was. I guess my other thing was, I'm glad you put 7. Can I review beforehand? Because my biggest thing was like, we're not doing this back and forth thing. Where it's like, okay, it's
Right.
done. Can I review it? Yeah, I'll look at it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Take that, but now, you're like that. I'm glad you did say that. Same thing as 3. Like 3 is like, I think you do. I'm glad you put 1 as 1. I feel like that, like I know.
You're very agreeable. I like the way you did 3. Well, I like 1 as 1.
Because number 1 is like, I think that will take the weight off of people's shoulders. Will I have the right to use and share the content? And you're like, yes, go for it. We're not saying that we're buying it from you because we're not doing that. If that's what we were doing, we would say, no, we're not gonna publish your article that we're gonna sell and then let you do that. But that's not what we're doing.
I have a
Right.
question. What if another historical commission invites the interviewee to do the same for their group?
What do you mean?
Go ahead.
Okay, so.
That would be,
Whatever.
that would be
yeah,
up
because that's a
to,
totally
they
different.
can make their
You don't
own.
have a contract with them to be exclusive.
Right, but what,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
what this person is telling us may not necessarily be the same.
Well, what kind of person is that?
So that's why you have to be very cautious about what kind of interview are we gonna ask these questions, because they could be lying for we know. They could be like fabricating all these stories and stuff.
Well, some people's memories do,
So.
Good point. Who might have been intensely
Some of them
fabricating?
take medication for Pete's sake. Maybe they forget this happened tomorrow. Whatever.
but you got to remember, memories are based on you. Now, for example, my siblings and I, there's 6 of us. An event would have happened in the family. Each one of us
gonna
has
have their
a
own-
different
absolutely.
perspective.
Generally
of that.
innocently, not necessarily malicious.
Right.
Or
That doesn't
anything.
make one right or wrong, but it's.
Mom wasn't there for that. Yes, she was, like that kind of thing.
You say all these things now, 10 years down the road, when this is published, you look back at your interview. I don't remember saying that. Say that.
Well, there it is.
I never said that.
That's
So
what
why-
Alzheimer's says.
That's why,
today.
number 7, if the interview is transcribed, can I review it before it's published or shared? I think it's only logical that the interviewer should get the chance to review it. It's not any different from, let's say, being an author.
The
If you're
re-
sending a manuscript to a publisher, they give you the right to reread.
the
It's
reason.
like a galley.
So that one stems back from the first permission slip I did. And the reason, 2 reasons why I did that. One is that I didn't want the back and forth. Like, oh, you took out the part where I mentioned all my teachers I ever had. We're not gonna sit there and listen, like the editing, that's like, I said, any editing would be in good faith. So let's say we're talking and you and I go off on a tangent and you end up talking about how you went to Cape Cod for the summer.
Mhm.
Great conversation, has nothing to do with Dayton. This is about Dayton's history, not necessarily your biography. I choose to not put that in the interview. I don't want them to say, oh, you didn't mention the Cape Cod thing. Okay, can you put that back in? All right, like, I didn't want the back and forth or the waiting on them. Like, by signing the form, you're saying that you trust us to put into words this and put it out there. If you feel like you need to look at it first, then you clearly don't trust us. Don't sign it, don't do it. That's my attitude about it. Also, I didn't want to be waiting on someone. Let's say I send it to you. Rafa, it's all set. What do you think? Oh, I'll look at it. 2 weeks go by. Yeah, next meeting, Rafa still hasn't got back to me about his thing.
I think some
That
people-
was the
I think-
biggest thing.
Well, I think some people are just concerned how they're going to proceed 10 years, 20 years down the road. by other people once they read the interview or listen. to
But this
the
isn't
testimony.
2020. This isn't like Princess
It
Diana's
doesn't
interview.
matter. It doesn't
I mean, like
matter.
that, I can understand if this was a Princess Diana thing where you want to know how you're gonna look
We can't
30 years
worry
from now.
about perceptions 20 years down the road. We don't know. I mean,
Don't you want to be perceived 20 years down the road? That's the whole point of this.
think about when you look at like your home movies and stuff when you were kids.
I look an idiot in all those.
So how could we, wear those weird clothes? It's a perception. So your look back, I don't think that's a fair kind of statement. We can't protect that because everything changes.
And hence why we're allowing people to do it in audio, visual, or written. Let's say someone's like, I don't like how I come across on camera. I don't feel comfortable doing it. Okay, then we'll do just written. I'm going to audio record it because I need to be able to listen back and type up what you say. I will not publish the audio clips. It's strictly for me to edit so I can go back and type it. That will not go public. Someone says, I'll do a podcast version. I don't want anything like written or TV, but I'll do podcast. Great, we'll do no camera. We're giving people those options.
So there's a
If
transcript too, though. the podcast.
if we
they want
if
it.
we authorize that. Like some people might like,
Now, how long are we looking, like, how long is the interview per se gonna be? Like, are you looking like, let's talk for 2 hours? I need more than a 15-minute conversation. I need more
I think it
than.
would depend. I mean, I think if we were doing this 20 years ago, people didn't have the podcast didn't exist. People didn't have the attention span to sit there and listen to an hour-long podcast. Now people do. So I think you could do a 15-minute one. I'm not gonna do a 15-minute audio thing. But a 15-minute audio thing could turn into a 3-page. It depends on the conversation.
I think
it's-
time-wise, you wouldn't plan any more than an hour.
Oh,
for
definitely,
it.
right.
No more than an hour, no
No.
less than like 15 minutes.
Right,
So, or 10
because
minutes or half
most
an hour.
people, after an hour, like they don't pay attention
Correct.
anymore.
Like, if
so-
we stay on topic, I'm not gonna be taking the conversation and typing it into a chapter book form. I might literally put Zach, tell me about school. Mrs. Smith, this is where I went. Like literally just publishing the words that were said. Editing, I'm gonna take off that 3-4 minutes where we talk about Hannaford, so we get off topic. That's the editing I'm gonna be doing. I'm not gonna say, oh, you said you went to Dayton? Well, I'm gonna say you actually went to Somerset.
No, I get, yeah.
So
Can you just explain the unrestricted access? Did that stem from him?
yeah,
What did he mean by that? That's one that I like. Unrestricted access. If it's public, then everyone's got the same access. What did they, and same thing as like, will my work be public or access restricted? Like, we're not gonna have a login to get onto it. Like, I guess I didn't know what they meant by that. I know what they meant, but what did they mean by that?
No, they make a copy of their interview and just pass it on to their descendants, period. Simple as that.
But when things are, if we were buying it, then we would be more hesitant with that because we own it now.
so the
Or
interview
not.
is going to just be available to the public, for viewing only. It's not going to be,
But what do they mean by viewing? Like, I mean, like, I guess I didn't understand that question.
unrestricted access to my interview. You mean number 8?
Yes, well, my family doesn't have unrestricted access. Like,
Yes, I mean, say,
I mean, as long as the technology upholds. I mean, essentially,
Yeah,
or if
I
the
mean-
archives go down and we lose it.
we'll provide a copy when requested in writing. So say, the grandchild wants a copy of it and grandpa's not around anymore. Yeah,
Right, or someone goes, hey, like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get onto that website. Can I
Yeah.
have a hard copy? Can you print out the hard copy of the script? Sure, I wouldn't necessarily do that for anybody, but like if someone wants
that's what
that,
I took this as, it's,
okay.
Yeah, we'll give your family a copy. Just put it in writing and we'll get it to you,
Yeah.
easy peasy.
And then what did it mean by 8 though? Available to the public or will access be restricted? Like restricted to who?
Which one?
That's 5. What did it mean by will access be restricted? I mean,
That's why.
the way the internet works is that you Google something, you find it,
It'll be available for viewing only.
as opposed to what?
I don't know. That was one of John's questions.
I don't even know what that means.
restricted to the public, you know, if you can get onto Dayton's YouTube channel.
I'm just being nitpicky because like I'm expecting someone to come back with a question to every question. And I want to be able to say,
Well, why
this is what
don't-
we mean by that. And if I say, I don't,
Why don't I do this? So I can take this and,
has John seen this?
No.
I thought that he needs to
Nope.
approve it because it certainly doesn't, but like,
no, run it by him and say, does this answer your questions? And if it does, it does. If it
it
doesn't,
doesn't.
it doesn't. And I'll say, well, those are the answers. I mean, because you can sit and nitpick like, what if, all, you know, all night long.
Right.
I'm just surprised it even came back a second time. The first time, consider
I
the
think
source,
the
I wasn't
biggest-
surprised.
The
This one I'm surprised because, especially because,
Yeah, I think the big question is the number one, will I have the right to use and share the content of the interview myself? Yeah, you can use the content. It's yours. The content.
right, we're
belongs
not
to
buying
you.
it. We're not,
Yeah,
right. I would just edit though, the for will my interview be stored and how it'll be accessed? It will be on Dayton's YouTube channel.
yeah,
I would say that would be pending, because if someone goes, I don't want video, I just want you to type up a version and put it on the Facebook page for someone to
Oh,
read.
so-
Like, not everyone necessarily want to be video. You do you know what I mean? I feel like that might throw off some people, because it'll be on YouTube. I don't want to be on YouTube. I'm not doing this. I don't want people to think that they need to do that. I would say you do need to have the other part where you say it will be stored digitally on the Historical Commission archives, because whether it's print, audio, or video, yes, it will be.
just leave.
But it won't necessarily be on YouTube. If someone just wants a written version, it won't be on YouTube.
Just take that out then completely.
The YouTube, the first sentence, I would say it will be stored digitally on the Dayton Historical Archives.
Okay, yeah,
And then on the picture says they'll see video, audio. I think then in conversations when I would, like, if someone goes, what do you mean by video? Well, if you want to do that, you say, oh, no, I don't want to do that. Hey, then don't worry about it being video. Don't worry about YouTube.
okay. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Does that sound like a plan? All right.
Do the town administrator need to see this part too? Did he ask for this too?
Um,
I know, it's
Yeah, he
his opinion that we did it, but,
yeah, no, he saw the answers too.
oh, we did. Oh, okay, gotcha.
So, okay. With that, do I need a motion to accept the frequently asked
I-
questions as edited?
I guess, yeah, I would make a motion for it.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we adapt the preserving memories of frequently asked questions pending, not pending, but with the edits that would be made.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. We'll move on from there. Thank you. Historical markers. Rafa, did you?
Where did he go?
Oh.
Oh, I thought it was a time capsule you're talking about.
No, it's a marker.
Because
Oh, it's
that's
the
where,
markers, oh,
that's where I saw the time capsule, like that, like that armoire thing that they have there. Not that I was looking for an extra something, because I wasn't, but that's what I thought you were talking about.
Well, that Jackie Matchmer,
yep,
she referred me to another person, Mike Rose, at school.
yep,
Mike Rose left a voice message on my cell phone when I was sick and I lost my voice, so I couldn't get back to him. So that took about 4 weeks. So I left him another message yesterday to call me so we can talk, because he wants to talk.
okay.
So I'm still waiting for a call back.
Is it with the school, is it with BP?
All right, Irene did go and she talked with Old Colony Regional to see if they could help us.
Hmm.
So they have she brought the sign to show them. The carpentry can do the sign. The carpentry shop at Old Colony, check.
Mhm.
They would do like a sheet of, the composite board for $287. They could get 30 signs from the piece for approximately $8 to $10. However, they don't do the lettering, because they don't have the equipment to do the lettering.
Okay, isn't that what you said?
Yeah, so also what happens is,
Do they have a source that they use for lettering?
no,
If they don't do it themselves, they don't outsource it.
no. So they don't have the machine to print out the lettering. So what was the other thing? Oh, I know. So when she was talking about cutting out the 10 signs from, one board, I was like, then that means we would have to buy the board and.
And then be sitting, and then be sitting on it.
Yeah, no.
So it just got I said, but the owners are the ones that paid for the sign, not the commission. Oh, and I said, that just isn't gonna work. And just the whole, and I think you
No.
might run into the same thing with BP too. If they're not gonna wanna deal with individual owners for the signs,
They're just waiting for an order to come in one at a time.
if waiting for an order to come in one at a time, yeah.
Unless we did a bulk order,
Do you do
like a,
both,
what,
like 4 or 5 signs at a time?
I don't know how schools operate, like if it's like if it's like a project.
Because couldn't you technically do the sign, do the whole Dayton Historical Commission and do all that and then just wait for,
Just have those ready to go and then just,
and just have just the actual address or whatever?
Yeah, so
yeah,
Something like
that's
that.
true. Like they can, is there a way they can just do 10 blank ones or?
but
split
we
ones?
don't want to be involved with the money part of
Correct.
the signs.
I
Oh,
see,
okay.
gotcha,
Okay.
So
because we're not,
making the signs, we're not buying signs.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that might,
That's gonna be tough.
yes, so you might want to check with, when you talk to Mike
How much
Rose.
do they charge us for the James Briggs? The $38?
Yeah,
$30 is nothing.
yeah, but our problem is the way that our marker program is set up is that the owner is buying the sign that goes with the house. We're not purchasing anything that goes with the historical markers.
do we have the budget for
So
that?
why not just?
It's not the budget, it's the
Whatever.
transparency of who owns it, the town and.
Oh,
paying
so
for
I
it.
sell my house, I'm moving to California, but I want my sign because I want it as a memory. No,
But the
it goes
sign
with the
is-
house.
the
No,
sign is what-
I
yeah.
can see why that could be a problem.
And our budget, the town accountant didn't like us being involved in the purchasing of the signs and then selling, because Rehoboth sells them. Their commission sells them, but it gets murky with taxes and stuff like that. It's not very clean.
That makes sense.
No, so BP gives us a quote. We tell the owner of the property the quote, they write us a check, and then we.
So we're the middleman essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can do that.
We don't
They're-
make, we don't
if
make
they're
money, we
Commissions do
don't,
that.
if they're gonna do one sign at a time, yeah,
we're just an avenue for them to get it, essentially.
right. Because the business deal is between the maker of the sign and the homeowner. And we just say, yes, it meets historically, it meets
Unless it was a
Criteria.
town property.
unless it's town property. But even at that, we said, yes, it meets the criteria. We can buy for town property because we're the town.
Right.
But she did check with another company, Baker Sign Works, and hold on to your seats on this one.
$1,000.
What towns do they do?
They're from Fall River. The setup charge is $42.50. She gave 3 options. One was you brought your sign all ready to be lettered for the tune of $190.
The lettering, Jesus Christ.
To do a custom cut on PVC, painted ovals with vinyl lettering, $570.
I am wrong.
Do they do the markers for Fall River's buildings and houses?
I don't know. She just found this one. So
How big is it? How big is it?
she showed them
I'm going on their
the
website right now.
dimensions of our sign.
$500.
So she priced it in 3 ways, just the vinyl applied to the plaques you provide and custom plaques with 3/4-inch PVC and then 3/4-inch wood composite custom plaques.
Here's a loaner.
So there's that. So
What was option 3?
option
Dare I
3
ask?
was wood. It was the wood sign at $420. So this is becoming another project that goes on and on and on.
I mean, what does Somerset do? What does Swansea do? What does,
I reached out, well,
To Warren
Swansea,
do.
Swansea uses the one from Norton, Fast Signs. Did,
It's a bronze look. They didn't
yeah,
go
it's a
far.
bronze look.
So it looks like, you know, it's
Yeah.
expensive
I
metal.
haven't seen Swansea's in person. Now I'm thinking about
That's
it.
what the chairperson of their historical society told me.
I've seen Warren's in person. I've seen,
Yeah.
What's
it called?
The one that's very simple. isn't
I
it?
reached
Yes, I
out
like-
to
I like
Westport through
Westport's.
their, email and they never responded.
See, like, this is like the stuff I make, like literally. That's all it is.
That could be
It's
an
wood
excellent-
and vinyl.
the good, I mean, the only thing is that how long would that last outside?
So, we,
That's the only thing I'll be thinking.
so my.
It looks
hus-
great, but
So
I
my
want my
husband.
house to be called Buddy. No.
So my husband, after I did this, actually put a thing for like on top,
like a shellac.
like a good shellac though, not like a cheapo. And literally just did it. And my cousin's had it on her house for, I want to say about 6.5 months, 7 months. Lasted over the winter. I'm just saying.
Are you going back to the sign
This
business
one
again?
winter.
That's just, I do this
No,
for,
but
I,
How long
do-
ago did we talk about, we were gonna cut the letters? I mean, this was.
I mean, I.
I mean,
go
the only problem is that you have to buy
Yeah.
the.
Reach out to,
expensive one.
I don't know,
You can't just buy like dollar store.
a Warren Historical, a lot of historical societies usually do this.
What, do you know how, so, because I
the-
work in Swansea schools, do you know what happens to know like how often Warren's? I mean, if you want, I don't mind going to their town hall, 'cause that's gonna be
It's just crazy.
10 minutes,
People
like-
charge so
Oh, you want to
much.
go, you want to take care of Warren?
only because I work
Okay.
right there. I'm,
All right,
it's
yeah,
literally 10 minutes when you get to Warren from Swansea.
yeah, it
so
is.
Unless,
yeah.
so would I go to their town hall or should I find out their historical society, like
You'd start at town hall.
town hall?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would call them first. I'll try Westport again. Was it, which one, Rafa, was it from Norton Fast Signs that Swansea used?
I've heard of that company, Norton Fast Signs. I didn't know this was Swansea used, but I
Yeah.
do know there's a Norton.
Did you
Fast
ever hear
Signs.
from the one from Plymouth?
No,
They never got back to you?
you're not interested.
Oh, you
I think they prefer like really like bulk orders or
Uh-huh.
really big signs, not minuscule.
Yeah,
Or not like,
Not one
or
at a
not one-off, maybe not the size, but a one-off kind of.
yeah,
thing.
like one at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get this, kind of get that.
I guess that would be the question then.
Maybe we're going about it the wrong way in that sense.
If we have 5 signs that have to be made, what can you do for us? And we just hold them all until we get,
I think that might even be.
well, we have,
I'm gonna wait for micros and stuff.
Yeah,
So-
but what I'm,
Have you tried GR? I know they're not a vocational school, but they must have carpentry still, right?
Who?
GR?
That's what I'm talking about, DR, micro.
Oh, I thought it meant BP.
Oh,
It's a school. I said it was a BP.
I'm
You said
sorry,
yes.
VP.
Yeah, yeah.
DR is carpentry?
I know that they've had vocational over the years. I know it's scaled down, but they do have some, it's not a vocational school, but they have,
they do have some kind of.
like, they have a small mechanic. They have a small, I don't know what they have anymore, but I do know at one point they had wood shop type of things. That's all that I know. But this is 25, 15 years ago. I was like,
Oh, wow.
but I just know that they used to have some kind of vocational program.
They used to have a vocational, they do have a
They
carpentry.
still do.
They do have a carpentry program there, yeah. It's small, but it's still there. I
mean-
think you would run into the same problem. They may not have the machine to do the graphic designs on it for it.
Build
I think it's
They've
more,
gotta have, BP has gotta have graphic design.
podiums, can they build podium like that?
Yeah, Old Colony had the graphic design. They just didn't have the machine for that, so,
what about Diamond? It's another vocational school.
yeah, what about, yeah, I don't know.
Diamond.
Diamond,
Vocational, also. in Florida.
Fall River?
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not gonna go that far.
That far.
It's like 10 minutes past BP.
It's a dangerous city.
Yes, it is. Don't go past that.
Well, keep looking for, I will reach out to Westport. Zach's gonna reach out to Warren.
You know what, I'm gonna check artificial intelligence if they can create historical marker, three-dimensional. GPT.
Doing, are you combining AI and 3D printing? Because, okay.
Sure, why not?
Right, because we have two for Chase Street, we have one
Yeah.
for Old Town Hall. We wanted to make one for Smith Memorial Hall,
For,
it's for,
Paul Reynolds, well, he's in a new house now.
this building?
but I think his house is historical.
Okay.
Would you put one here?
Yeah, this is Old Town Hall.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought meant the library, sorry.
two, The library.
What about that woman whose tree just fell down? What's her name? Lincoln,
Laura
Rachel,
Cedrone? No.
Rachel
Lorna?
something. No, Lorna's neighbor.
Lorna's
Oh, they
neighbor,
just
Lorna's
went-
neighbor.
Conti?
Yes. She had this big humongous beech tree.
Yeah, I know,
Birch rather.
Yeah.
So,
155 years old. She counted the rings.
I know, I know.
so some of those houses along there are historic because they were on the Lincoln Ave area form.
They should have a marker period, end of discussion.
Well, what are you gonna do
What if
about
you,
that?
what if you didn't live there?
I don't care. Let's create an executive order.
Oh, they must?
Yes.
Everybody must.
Everybody else.
All right, let's keep working on that, I guess. I'd like to get that one off and running again. It's too bad that Peach Sign Company went out of business.
I
It was
know.
perfect. So anyway, West Dayton survey. So the West Dayton survey is completed.
Yay.
The owners of the Poor Farm address at 1301 Smith Street didn't answer any of our requests. We couldn't schedule to get in, for current photos. So Stacy ended up using a photo from the assessor's office from about 2012 on it. I said,
How'd it look?
Huh?
How'd it look in the picture?
It looked okay.
2012.
How accurate is it to what it looks?
Modern.
Oh, modern. Okay.
Well,
How accurate is it to how it looks now? Is it pretty much
I
the
think it's
same?
probably pretty much the same. Because she wanted to go down there is that right away, but it appeared to be, going on to private property. So we tried to get the permission of the owners to, at least so they know how come someone's walking down their lane and taking pictures. And
Were they not receptive or they
they
didn't
just
respond?
never responded. At first, we tried to schedule and there was like, oh, that time didn't work. It just didn't work. And then it was like no response. So
Oh, so that was initial contact at first?
initial, yeah. But, so anyway, she sent the invoice for $2,500. And originally she had quoted as 3,500, but she took 1,000 off because had a lot of the background stuff for Dayton already. So we saved $1,000. And so I just need a motion to forward the invoice to CPC for payment.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Now I have the survey forms and I need to print 3 color copies. One will be for us, one for the assessor's office, and one to go into the town clerks, into the vault. So I can get that done. So I would like a motion to print 3 color copies of the West Dayton survey forms. It's about 105 pages, and I figure I don't want it to exceed $85.
Were you putting them in? Do we have?
We have
we have enough
binders.
still?
We might need a couple more, but I think there's room in the binders that we have. But we
I was
probably,
just asking because that was another, you said mentioned buying the office supplies, so I'm just mentioning.
yeah, yeah. We can go back and
That would be a good
visit that in a minute, yeah.
So the $85 would be just the printing?
It would be for the printing of the, it wouldn't exceed that. I think it would be a little less if my calculations are correct.
Backing up to your invoice, don't we need to sign that if you're gonna submit payment?
No,
Oh, okay,
no, because it's for the CPC to pay. We're not paying it.
gotcha.
So I'll just get that to Kevin. Good point, though.
Well, no, I thought it was. one of
Details,
ours.
details,
Little thing
details.
like that, yeah.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to print 3 color copies of the West Dayton survey forms not to exceed $85.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So next is the Mount Hope Finishing Company National Register nomination, and Stacy's still holding off on that. I just wanted to bring that up. So the cuts to the National Park Service are included in the federal government's FY 26 budget. And it does contain some significant cuts for historic preservation and staffing, which will affect the National Register nomination reviews.
Not surprised, but
Yeah, I mean, we can sit and hold on that. I'll make sure the CPC knows, because that's their money we're using for that, you know. It's kind of like, well, maybe we should proceed, and then it's ready when they start reviewing, it's there, and then it's like, but if it's gonna take 10
I
years.
was gonna go back
then-
and redo it. Now we're gonna pay again. If
Then you have to pay again,
Think
exactly.
prices go up
Yeah.
or whatever, or yeah.
That's too bad.
So I think we'll just wait and see how the budget lands, and then make a decision after that.
Yeah.
CPC, we met on March 20th and April 17th. They voted an application for funding for the Historical Society to repair the south wall for $18,500. And it also approved a funding request from Parks and Rec of $67,000 to upgrade the Timothy Rhines Playground on Palmer Street and School Lane. There was a discussion with the library building committee regarding the funding from CPC for the HVAC and historic preservation there. So it's mainly for the HVAC, but it can be used for anything considered historic preservation, given the wording on the town warrant article. So the funding is going to be used for HVAC, period lighting, woodwork, and some bathroom rehabs. And then the CPC did their little housekeeping articles for the annual town meeting for annual revenues. The wording for the Historical Society project and the Timothy Rhines Playground project. I drove by that little playground. It is cute as I remember.
What upgrade are they doing?
They're putting in new equipment for usually the younger kids, toddler to like 5-6-year-olds. Though the slide is still in good shape there.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I loved that slide.
I'm not saying this to be facetious. Are they doing a sign?
Yeah, they'll do a sign. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I assume that they were. I assume that they had already.
yeah, not yet. They're not meeting in May. They'll meet in June again. So the library building project is ahead of schedule. Anticipated opening, as we talked about, is September of 2025.
Awesome.
The project is within budget. The interior lighting and flooring has been selected. The highway department is doing some of the interior work. They do marvelous work.
Oh my God, they
Yeah.
don't get enough credit in this summer.
The red cedar shingles will be sealed, not painted, will just be sealed.
Good. I was hoping so.
And the plans are being developed for the exterior landscape and parking.
Good.
Outdoor lighting will be mounted on the building and it'll have timers because there's some neighbors right close there, so it
Oh,
doesn't
yeah,
shine into
yeah.
their windows. The next meeting for that committee is June 12th. So the America's 250th anniversary, we've received donations of $5,500 so far to put towards, 4,000 to put towards the Living History Encampment.
That's awesome.
The Rehoboth Minutemen are working with us to put on the encampment. We're still searching for a site.
Do you guys think that'll be the biggest expense?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, maybe we're also doing a Revolutionary War monument to go out on the Veterans Circle.
I thought they already had a lot of the granite for that. So I thought someone mentioned that.
Yeah, there's granite at yeah, we have granite in town that we can use.
So the expense would be just the labor?
The labor and the bronze plaque to
Oh,
go
gotcha.
on it, which are more expensive than you think.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, I'm not saying. so, I
Yeah,
just didn't realize,
yeah. It won't list all of the soldiers' names because we don't want to miss anybody.
How many would there be? Hypothetically.
I have around 300. Yeah. So the Lives and Fortunes book that the Historical Society has is a listing of all, not all, of Revolutionary War soldiers. That listing actually comes from the Massachusetts Sailors and Soldiers book.
Mhm.
Some of them are duplicates in there, but there's actually some people that were missing and they're actually it's because in the original listing from the Mass Sailors and Soldiers book, there was no location, but Robin and I have been working on trying to find them. And I'm like, we know, so we can do the genealogy, know that that's the right guy, and he was in Dayton. There is another soldier we found who actually was from Freetown, enlisted in Freetown, but he is buried here in Dayton, and he did live in Dayton at the end of his life,
One of his wives.
you know, so. But it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting, so that'll be a big expense too.
That's cool.
Oh, we're selling candy bars, Hillard's Candy.
Yes, let me know.
Oh my gosh,
I will
my-
buy 3
I'm
boxes
gonna
of.
be honest with you, it's my favorite chocolate.
Can you buy bulk of one flavor?
Well.
That peanut butter one?
I have no
Live
problem
off that.
spending $20 again.
Live off that.
Because literally
The next meeting.
You let me know.
And I had one here and there, like when I thought of it, and I was like, oh, I need chocolate. Oh, yeah, I have some. I shared 2 bars. And the rest was hidden for a while.
I wouldn't have said even those 2.
I gave
I'm
one to
saying I
Frank
wouldn't have.
and one to
I-
Jackson.
Oh, family. Oh, okay.
Frank was not, I mean, Jacob was not privy
Impressed.
to it because he was a bad boy, sweetie.
We'll have informational tables at the Cow Chip Festival and the Strawberry Festival. We're selling Dayton militia certificates, so if you want to join the militia, you can. And we're gonna have some children's games. Joanne Racine's working on getting some children's games. Of course, everyone, I hope, is aware of the Ezra Stiles presentation on June 14th at the community church. There'll be a reading of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th at the community church, and we meet again on May 19th. So,
When is the Strawberry Festival?
June 7th,
Yeah.
Oh, soon, my God.
yes.
Are we having a table? I know last year commission didn't, I couldn't go, but didn't you guys?
No, no,
Are you
not that.
thinking the firecracker?
Yes.
Yeah, the
I am.
firecracker,
I
yeah,
am.
so, to circle back to the budget thing, I found my little stickies. I figure after the GIS mapping and the printing, we'll have $531. And I was thinking to order for office supplies, like the Avery multi-page capacity for archival sheets to hold bulk things. Some big tabs for the notebook, they just don't get lost. They're bigger than these little yellow ones. And maybe 2 notebooks. Are we gonna need thumb drives to store preserving memories on?
I would say yes, because then we own them. Like, if I were to use mine, I don't mind, but then that becomes like, if I lose it, or
You can get it
what
if
they're so, I mean,
They're good price.
back when I was like in middle school, it was like $50 for like the smallest one. They're
Cheap
dirt
now.
cheap now.
Yeah,
Yeah, we buy them for the town clerk's office and it's like $28 or whatever.
Yeah,
Mason,
so-
yeah.
WB Mason, yeah,
All
Um,
right.
it was cheap.
so I guess more of a question for you, thumb drive or external hard drive?
Thumb drive. Those
You
little.
know, no, I know the difference,
Oh.
there, but do you think it would be better for us to have an external hard drive? Like, if
Oh,
we
I
do,
don't know.
if we do video components, they're gonna take up more space.
Yeah, that's.
No, I know, I'm just,
Why don't we start with thumb drives? and
yeah,
figure it
I
out
mean,
from
they're
there?
cheap enough that it won't matter, but.
All
So
right.
I would say 512 size you get megabytes, what you get, you know what size you guys get? for thumb drive?
Yeah, it was actually quite a bit. It was, I think, 56.
How much?
56 gigabytes, maybe. I don't know how, if that,
64?
64 maybe, yeah.
Oh, if you get 2, 1 would be fine, 2 would be more than fine, so I
For the
would,
64,
so
yeah.
if they're that cheap,
And I
get
can
two.
look, Pat, I can look to see how much we paid,
Okay.
just so that
I'll
way.
just come in and get the order number from you.
Yeah,
but yes, like I said, I have some, but then again, then at least we as a town own it as opposed to like it's some, you know,
right,
somewhere
instead
else,
of
so.
it's from you, yeah.
Right, then it's town it's literally stored on town property at that point, so
Right.
yes, I would say.
All right, Does anyone have a problem with ordering those things? All right, I'll have a motion to make the orders as presented.
So moved.
Is there, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Are you voting, Rafa?
Mhm.
Okay.
He's taking
No,
minutes.
Dan just sent me a text message.
Okay.
What are you guys doing for 2 hours? Rewriting history?
Yes. I'm moving quickly. Our
Trying
next,
to.
our next meeting date is June 10th. We had talked about meeting at the police conference, police station conference room. I think for ease of scheduling and technology right now, I think it's best if we just stay here.
Doesn't matter to me.
It's just easier for
Yeah,
the,
because there's no Zoom at the police station.
yeah, I
You
would-
can't look back
Yeah.
I
on.
look back.
okay.
In that case, I motion that we go. Just to make Robert's
Denied.
life miserable.
Denied.
For the record, I'm kidding.
So I had a email from Nancy Goulart about purchasing 3 town flags. They're designed by Kathy Yell. It's this one. This is like that she designed. I'm not sure where this stands right now. She asked if we had money in our budget to pay, to buy one.
Is that the official one? That's the one that hangs in the State House too, right? That's the
Yes,
official.
yes, that's the official one. The cost would be about $130. One would be at Bristol Aggie and 2 others for use in town. I will follow up with Nancy and see where this stands right now.
Why should we
Um,
have to ask for that? Because
Yes.
it come out of our budget?
Cultural council, don't they have money?
Out of what?
Like cultural council.
Because
And
they only take applications, I don't know. So anyway, I said I would bring it forward. That's all I know about it right
But-
now,
but why did she, again, like, why did she
Because-
ask us?
because she didn't think the Board of Selectmen would foot the whole bill. But
Oh, I just want us to help pay for them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah.
thought we did that. I was like, I
No.
didn't know red flags.
But I told her I would bring it up. I don't know where it stands right now, and so we can,
How many does the town have? Do we even, we don't
that
have,
one.
we
that
don't, we
just
don't
one.
have,
That
we
one.
don't have one hanging at town hall.
No, I think that's the only.
That was the one hanging in the old. at the top.
Yeah,
I mean, it's mostly here because like typically, I mean, like when I see flags online, typically they're wherever, like some towns have them hanging on the side, but like not all of them do. And if they have one, it's in their meeting room, but like this
Right.
one is.
so,
Needs to be updated.
no,
No, that is the right one.
that's the one.
That's the right one. With the right seal.
Yeah, but
It's the other,
there were 7 Indians.
Well, that's the way the town, that's the way it was designed.
so many towns
Yeah.
have changed their seals and their flags because of stuff like that.
Right. So
Or we did the
anyway,
depiction.
for this, I'll just see where this stands and bring it back next time. Our UNS intern Samantha Shecker finished her internship on April 29th. She completed the house genealogy for the Nat Crane House and some information on the town of Wellington.
Really?
Well, because
Why did that change happen? Like, why that change?
Well, because as we were researching Nat Crane, Nathaniel Crane, he died in Wellington.
Wait, it was called Wellington?
And I was trying to figure out,
We found out that that side of Center Street was Wellington. Yep.
that's Wellington, and
Yep.
actually the town of Wellington starts at the Segregated River mouth down here, kind of like goes to the second bridge, goes up Brook Street, one side of Brook Street and where Mary Bennett's house was is Wellington, the other side is Dayton. So it actually encompasses like 2/5 of the town. And there's one census, the 1820 census has the town of Wellington in it and the town of Dayton.
I wonder what year, I've always tried to find it and never knew what year.
Yes.
The 1821 does.
1821.
Interesting.
1820. So we put it together, so that kind of like jogged something there and trying to look at the different maps. So she put together information on that. And then I was looking at something else. There was also something that happened in 1824. And Rafa, the description that you found of Wellington that day gave the legal description of the town. So that's how we knew where it started at the mouth of the Segregated River. It went along all the way up like Brook Street and Wellington Street to the Rehoboth line to Taunton, Then it follows the Taunton Dayton line all the way back to the Great River, which is the Taunton River. And that's how it described it there. And then I found the same legislation thing that dissolved the town. But in 1824, there looks like there was a Dayton Wellington annex or something. I found this after. I wasn't even looking for it. And it pops up and I said, oh, there's something else that happened with Wellington and I can't find it yet. So she put that together. You know, we included the
Oh, that's-
census,
That's how, so the top half of Wellington.
the articles and a copy of the brick area because the brick area was part of Wellington.
Right, yeah.
Parts of it. So then we worked on the Nat Crane House. And the interesting thing about the Nat Crane House is we couldn't find that he ever owned that house. There was no deed that said he owned it. George Washington Briggs sells, we found the deed that says George Washington Briggs sells the house to Huldah Horton, who is Simeon Horton's wife. The Hortons lived there. I'll show you the timeline. I found this fascinating.
She did all this?
Yeah,
Oh,
I kind of helped her with some of the research and
I mean,
stuff.
the binding.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So 1811, Joseph Atwood owns it. He sells it to George Washington Briggs. George Washington Briggs sells it to Huldah Horton. It stays in the Horton family. Simeon Horton, somehow she buys it. This is really irritates me. She buys it. All of a sudden,
It's in his name.
her husband Solomon sells it to their son. I'm like, how come she didn't sell it?
Right,
You know?
Yeah.
But then they sell it to the son in 18.
Could you?
No.
Yeah, like, really? Huh?
Husband just took over.
He just took over. Can you imagine? So Simeon Horton, the son, owns it. And that's S. Horton on all of the maps. All the way.
My God, all those owners.
So Hortons, and then it goes to Adriana French. That is Simeon and Huldah Horton's daughter. So her brother owns the property. I couldn't find a deed or a will that transfers it to Adriana French. So that's kind of a question that still has to be answered. Because she shows up on the 1895 map as
But-
owning it,
But never,
but
no record of the sale.
1928, Addie Mosier is her daughter. Her daughter. In that deed, it says through the will of her mother, so the will does exist somewhere. And then it goes to Ella Harrison, to Bill Harrison, then to Bristol Aggie. So from 1840 all the way to when Bill Harrison dies and his estate sells it to Bristol Aggie, it stays in the Horton family.
It never, Crane's name's never there.
No, I can't find, one deed mentions the boundary that owned by Nathaniel
Well, is he ever
Crane,
tied to
that's
it?
He did live there because he
Just-
shows up in the
Just never
census.
owned it.
He just never owned it. So we found deeds.
It's crazy, right?
That's funny. Good
Yeah.
thing we didn't put a plaque on that house.
Yeah. That current house.
So, and there's, there are deeds, I know, it's like crazy. It should be
So, yeah, what should the name be? Horton French?
the Horton family home,
Maybe back then, did they, calling it someone's home, did it not necessarily mean you owned it?
I don't know, but he was known for living there and he did live there. He did die
Right,
there,
right,
and he farmed. It was a farm. They all farmed it. So it kind of answers the questions that Bristol Aggie had about the
Yeah.
property, So I do want to share this with them.
So
Nice.
from the map, so I've only seen one map showing Wellington. And I believe it was posted under the back in the day in Dayton page.
Right.
And the outline looks different than that.
It
So
is.
That's the actual,
yeah,
So-
because
so-
it goes, they follow the Segregated River on that one.
They
that
do,
map.
yeah, but it's more of like a jagged shape.
Yeah.
It's not so much a square like that.
So, but that's my question, like about the 1824 reference that I found, that I
Yeah.
haven't found any more information about, because the lines could have changed again. But
Okay,
it came back together because of,
What is it, what,
it's like a north and south thing
is
essentially.
that Center Street?
that's Brook Street.
Street.
Oh, that's Brook Street.
Yeah.
So it's like pretty much equally.
That makes more sense, is like you would cut it in half, as opposed to like this weird, like jagged.
So that was really interesting, and it was my favorite thing to work on because I like research, so.
A little somewhat off topic. When did Dayton
House?
stop including that part of Berkeley in its town borders? Yeah, yeah.
Oh, 1835 Berkeley leaves Dayton,
35.
yeah,
Oh, that recently?
Yeah.
Wow.
no, 1735.
Okay, okay.
I know it was 35. I didn't know.
Yeah.
it was the year.
The Mass History Conference is June 2nd out at UMass Amherst. Oh, there are sessions there. I don't know. None of them look really appealing. I don't know if anyone.
I
looked at
I
it.
have a conference, somewhere.
The town clerk one?
Yeah.
Really? I was kidding, but wait, another one? That area again?
No, Plymouth this time.
Not the Fort Devens.
Yeah, so this has
Winter.
digital stuff, connecting and caring in the classroom through oral history, Black sport and community healing, caring and connecting outside the museum walls, how Massachusetts fires shaped modern fire and life safety policies.
What's the digital one?
The digital one was handling born digital materials. It's with the Mashrob people, and they spoke last time too.
Maybe the oral history was the one that really,
Yeah.
I'm kidding, but like actually is relevant to kind of what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
But that's the history of strawberries and Mohegan culture, cooking and demo
And
lecture.
tramps. And tramps.
Is there a seminar about
Not
that?
that kind of tramp.
I don't want to go.
I go to a conference with tramps.
You go to a conference on tramps where there are
That is
tramps.
why, lady.
So the registration is open. I don't know, I can't go on June 2nd.
How much was it?
$125 to go. It's-
Can we come up with a budget?
Yeah,
I mean, if it was more than just, the oral history one does sound interesting, but to go that all that way and just that.
it's a long way.
And that's,
for-
if that's the only one that kind of sounds interesting to me, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think it's worth spending, for me anyway, any $100 on that.
Yeah,
Not someone else
no.
wants to, obviously, but
No,
that's the one that piqued my interest, but
I think you could probably do better.
not for a 2-hour ride and
Yeah.
$100.
Okay. The Beta Group sent us, I scanned it and sent everyone the thing on the bridge on Pleasant Street. And I found, we did respond to them in 2022 and we voted that the bridge was not historically significant. I don't think we have to respond again to that. And we're all set. This Al McGinnis request, I got an email. She's looking for a certificate for her mother who just turned 100 in May. But we have the Boston Post cane program. I talked with Bella. I said, does this belong at the Council on Aging, honoring people who turn 100? With my conversation with Bella, I realized people think because someone turns 100, that means they're eligible to receive the Boston Post cane. And I explained to her, I said, no, it stays with the person who is still alive until they pass, and then it goes to the next oldest.
It's not a centennial
Why
milestone.
is there all of a sudden this misunderstanding?
Do some towns do that?
Never was before.
Or do
Well,
have a
there's-
similar thing?
Now, I don't know if people do similar things, but the town gets requests for people that are 100. We did a certificate for Mary Rebello. We did one for Raymond Tripp.
We meaning the commission or
The
the town?
commission,
Okay.
we did for Mary Rebello, and we did one for Raymond Richmond Tripp.
Yes, yeah.
And then there was one for Hilda Resendes. We didn't do one for her. I don't think we should be doing any kind of 100 certificates because our program is the Boston Post King.
Yeah, because then we're
program.
like, why did you do so-and-so,
We
not
can't keep adding
so-and-so?
something just
Right.
because.
I don't know if this is something the Council on Aging, I know you're now on that board, if they want to talk about and take on.
Seems more
Um,
appropriate for them.
Like a congratulations, you turned 100?
Yeah.
I mean,
I can forward you the email.
Well, unfortunately,
Congratulations,
we
you
started a
lived so
precedence by doing it for the one that we did it for, because they just kept saying, oh,
Right,
we want it, we want it, we want it, and then they went away for a while and come back and said, we should have that both, you know.
Yeah.
And so they were adamant. So what we did was to sort of appease them. So that's what happens when you try to be
Right,
nice and try
right.
to appease somebody.
Yeah.
And-
if you don't want to go into reason publicly, that's fine. How come, you said there was someone that we didn't do the certificate for? Was there a reason for it? You said there was a name that you mentioned. I didn't hear who it was.
it was Hilda Resendes.
But was there a reason why?
We just, because we do the Boston Post
Right.
King.
Right, so then at that point, it's like we did two, but not her. Then it's like, did we do so-and-so, but not so-and-so? Then we'll do the next three, but not the next four. It's like, if that was our thing, then we should be consistent, but it's not our thing, so
Right, exactly. It's not our thing. It was never our thing.
then
Right,
I can understand the confusion by people thinking that we're the one, but let's send them elsewhere.
right.
Not elsewhere, but give them the
The
proper
more I
address.
thought about it, I said, okay, it doesn't belong on our plate,
Why would it? Because we're,
you know? Because,
if we're the longest living in Dayton resident, that would be a different story. Like if you had,
and we
I-
have one of those.
right, like I
Or
could,
They are still with us.
but it's like if you moved to Dayton last year and turned 100, it's like,
Nope.
well, okay, no, now that's different. You know what I mean? So like, that
And
wouldn't
that's,
be a historical
that's the
commission
problem. Like
thing.
Bella, when I was talking to Bella, she says that's a problem because even you don't even know who's 100 because people are moving in to live with their kids.
Someone can
or
move in
whatever.
tomorrow who's 100.
Right,
Well, we know who's 100 because we go to the town clerk's office.
right.
She
Thank you.
provides us with a list of their names
But that, you're right, that could change tomorrow.
and their
Right.
voting preferences. We also get to know their voting preferences.
Yeah.
So I can email it to you if the Council on Aging wants to address it, or
Did this woman get in touch with you directly? Or was
she
it
emailed me, yeah,
really? I wonder why.
because I think she got my email from, I think the Board of Selectmen's office.
Oh, that's not where I was going.
Oh.
That's not where I was going.
No,
Sure, go ahead.
all right. I'll do that, thank you.
There you go.
And our policy, we will just have to stick by our policy.
I
And our
agree.
Boston Post King does have length of residence in it.
Right, so that, and that's
Yeah.
more relevant to the historical commission.
That makes sense.
As opposed to, I think that's something that fits the definition, not like a council on aging, whatever the mission statement is, that seems very fitting to what they, I
Right.
would think that they would do.
Right, and we'll just keep clarifying that it's the oldest living person and we still have ours. We will notify people when we don't have ours. So, all right, I think we've covered everything. Thank you for your patience. Is that
Last question. The garden,
the garden?
Yeah.
I mean,
the garden with the expensive sign that we had to put up and
Oh.
beg people to give us
Who's
wood and
maintaining it
everything
now?
else. Is there anything going on in there? I don't think so, but I'm asking.
I don't have no clue.
Oh, so nobody said nothing? So let's assume there's nothing going on in there.
Is it a part of the Parks and Rec?
I think so.
I think, so.
Yeah, they-
I think, I would
Or
think
the
so.
Agricultural board, whatever.
Or that, yeah,
So talk.
that's probably more than the Parks and Rec is my guess. It's a garden, it's probably more than the Parks and Rec.
You want me to stir controversy about it on Facebook? I can do
No.
that. You know.
No,
No,
No, you stir enough controversy.
no,
How do you know?
don't tell him no,
I know.
don't tell him no, because now he will.
I don't know. I had to school him on something.
Okay, so he's going to listen to you.
Good one, yeah, go to.
All right, I have no clue. So anyway,
Motion to adjourn?
All right.
is there a second? All in favor?
8:19.
And we are adjourned. And let me.
It's the longest we've had.
I would say so.